Welcome everyone to What the Fiction and our coverage of Tale of the Nine-Tailed. And with me to cover chapter 11 and 12 is Nat Fox.
Hey, hopefully everybody's having a good Saturday.
Yeah. I know we very much enjoy this show. It's been a joy. It
Yes.
it feels very validating to watch it and to um, get to experience the ongoing joy of looking at um, our characters as they go through all their things, but also our actors, and they play into fan love in the show, which
Mhm.
is really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, we've had some news in the last little while. There's going to be a mini-sode that's coming, a set of mini-sodes that are coming out featuring Lee Rong and Yuri, and it's set beforehand. Those are coming out later in the month.
Yeah.
So you're going to definitely want to try and find those because I think extra content for this show is just so much fun.
Yeah, we'll definitely hype it up on our Twitter channel and probably talk about it as soon as it's out. I mean, it probably will coming out concurrent with the new episodes because, as we recently found out, there's going to be a delay in next week's episodes by a week for production purposes. So, although we are disappointed, because we are not surprised because this is a live shooting drama. Again, it's not completely wrapped up in terms of production. Obviously, they just finished shooting quite recently, and I think that they're probably still doing stuff considering
Maybe
the
pickups or
yeah.
yeah, other things. I know there was a shot of them. I don't know what social media it was, but like Lee Dong Wook and the actress that plays Jia that I cannot remember at this moment, but they were like,
Jova,
yeah,
yeah.
Jia. She was like they were eating like dinner together. I'm like they're still hanging out, so they're still doing
Yes.
like a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
the
that
show's been extremely popular too. I
yeah.
think that they knew that it would be just based on Lee Dong-wook's popularity, but like the fact that it's maintained ratings that are very high, even with new shows coming out, has been just a consistent reminder that this is actually quite a popular product and that they have every reason to do more stuff around it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good for us because it means that there's going to be lots of care and attention leading into the end because they don't want to disappoint people with a I don't know, nailed in ending.
Yeah, let's not mail in the ending like so many dramas do. We want
Yeah.
we want some closure here, and I think that they know. This show has been so self-aware of its audience, of its tropes, of the genre in general that I think that we can expect goodness. Maybe not greatness, but goodness at least.
Absolutely. All right. Let's get to our fabulous PowerPoint presentation. Somebody complimented me and thus you because you're the one that does the bulk of the work on the PowerPoint presentation that they felt like it was extremely meta of us to give a PowerPoint presentation given what happens in the office of the underworld immigration
Yes,
that
you
like
are in hell, and we are giving you your presentation, but hopefully we're leading you into heaven instead of hell, or whatever. I mean, everybody's going to Sandochen or whatever, but
everybody has to go to the underworld, right? So
exactly.
but we're here to help guide you into hopefully understanding a little bit about this show. The caveat always being that we are two white girls from North America. So if we get anything wrong, we apologize. We just really, really love this and we love digging into it.
Yeah, it's been wonderful doing the research. And last episode, obviously, Marie Claire, you did a great job on the PowerPoint and the research for that because I was traveling. But this week I got to dig in a little bit more and found some good stuff about the Imugi myth, which we were kind of missing earlier on in our stream. So I'm really delighted to have that to bring to the table today. And, you know, there's a lot packed into these two episodes that we can talk about. So
He does kind of look like Sleeping Beauty in this.
oh, he's just so pretty.
This.
I'm sorry. I had to have that. I always use the official stills because they're high quality, but this one especially. And that is not Leon, which is nice to know. So spoilers if you're watching and you haven't watched the show.
What are you doing here?
What
Come
are you
back
doing
later.
here?
Come back later.
Yeah.
No,
Please.
we love you all for tuning in now or later. We had some amazing compliments delivered to us voice to voice, which was kind of a rarity on a shared Discord to do with K-dramas that we're all part of. A good friend of ours, Tiffany, actually told us that we really make her week, and that was just such a joy.
Yeah, thank you so
Here.
much for everybody's feedback. We don't do this for a lot of views, obviously. We're just doing this because we absolutely love the show and K-dramas and storytelling in general. So, but being able to hear that we provide sort of like, you know, a
Like
weekly thing to look forward to is always really nice.
it's kind of like relief from like the constant stress of the
Yeah,
year.
it's been
And
very stressful.
yeah, and we ourselves love this too because it gets our minds focused on something that we both enjoy and we both love digging into. So thank you. We appreciate you. We'll do
Yes,
a
let's
Korean
do
heart,
I don't know how to do the hearts, but
Korean
here.
heart,
Yes.
finger hearts. We love and appreciate everyone that listens or listens to the podcast or enjoys the YouTube videos. We do it for ourselves, but we also really do love that you come out and pay attention and give us some love too. So thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah, and just make sure to like and subscribe if you are on YouTube, just because then you'll get the notifications of when things are happening and stuff. So,
yeah.
all right, let's dig into. Yay, we don't miss most of the time.
This is our obligatory like cheersing. I'm just gonna put up this bottle of soju and say cheers, my friend. We predicted quite a bit.
Yeah, we like wow. You messaged me and you were like, Marie Claire, you were right. And I'm like, what? About what?
Everything? No.
No.
We got some stuff a little bit off, but I mean, I think in terms of what we've talked about previously, we're not going to do hardcore speculation with the show because we're just going to follow the narrative threads where they're obviously going. And so I think, and we're not calling ourselves brilliant or anything. A lot of other people have, predicted the same things. Looking on Twitter and on the Soompi forums and other places, it's been really nice to see everybody else kind of have the same feeling of satisfaction of like, oh, this is storytelling that I can understand and get into, and it feels organic and natural and right. So
absolutely. Yeah. So, some of the things, real Imugi, please stand up. That was a big reveal for everybody.
Yes.
That it wasn't Terry, it was Gia.
Yeah. Yes.
Lee Rong has been redeemed. He has broken the, sort of promise he was under, and now he has a chance to be a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
And also he didn't have the Chinese lantern too, so he was kind of already on the path. Brothers working together because we love them. Snail Bride and director, that was my big like, I hope this happens. But
and
I mean,
happened.
it was pretty obvious, right? So
yeah, obviously he's going to that
Yeah.
restaurant every time just to see her, but it was nice to see them finally interact, and like him taking her out for soju and she's drunk and she's like, stop giving me flowers and alcohol, you're just trying to sleep with me. And he's like, actually no, I really want to know what's behind your sparkling eyes. It's so adorable.
Yeah, I love them so much. And then the Foxes got like married,
Yeah,
Fox got married,
about...
yeah. Like, yeah.
I mean, the exchange of rings was pretty much just the most potent part of it, but we talked about that with like episode where they had been reunited.
Yeah.
And the rain during the sun shower or whatever, like that is
Emotionally, he's married.
They're married.
Yeah. Nothing that we know of so far to do with the fox bead. It's kind of just disappeared, and it's It's just like it might
It's in
come.
the void.
It might come back. That would be really cool. We don't really know why Gia's birth was special, although we're going to go into a little bit more of maybe what might be an indication of why it's important to do with the one island that her parents went to and they went to. So that might
Not
come.
Jeju Island, but an
Yeah,
island.
I mean there was the tunnel, so
Yes.
it's yeah, but that it might come back and be important. You know, the elders, especially like, what's going on with Granny. Why does she seem to be protecting the Imugi? Like,
Was it just
why?
because it was Gia and she didn't want Leon to go crazy?
Is there more to do with that? We do have some speculation to do with that as well. It seems so far that they don't drop threads.
Yeah.
Like, if they mention it, they seem to pick it up. So we're going with that assumption that they're really, really smart cookies. But yeah, maybe there were two Imugis from the start. Oh, God. That was very satisfying.
It really was. Just the moment that he said that, I was like, oh, yep, there we go.
Yep.
We're really driving into that. And we'll get into the Imugi myth later on in the stream, but it's nice to be able to see like these two assistants working on the same stuff that we do every week.
Yeah, we felt a
kinship.
lot of kinship with them. Yes, definitely. So episode 11, Chinese lantern plant. We actually brought it up as something like, we're like, this is significant. We don't know why yet in the mythic part, but they've definitely built out the mythos in this episode with it. But what I loved about this was the categories that I put it under, because I've added those into your PowerPoint without you knowing. Subversion, intention, and then release. And this episode was just so solid. And so, what happened? There was the confrontation with Leung and Imugi.
It starts out with an epic confrontation.
Yeah, and like, who can teleport? Is it Imugi? Is it him? Can both of them do it?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a very Portal moment where they're falling and then they zip into the elevator and then start fighting again. I think that was just really well constructed. And I saw behind the scenes where like you have the green screen behind him and he's dropping the poor actor that plays the Imugi. Like it's amazing what they did. And even though it's like a blink and you miss it, it's so fun on rewatch.
I do want to do a shout out to the gobbled by bus trope that they did at the beginning. It's like that, and like it's raining. Like I can't cry, so it's raining on my face. Those two are my favorite, like very obvious like tropes, but shout out to that. And then also like Terry doesn't seem intimidating, but they really made him very scary in this episode, just with all the things going on. And like just like, I want to die, and then everyone around him.
Yeah, I called it the happening moment, where it's like, everybody's mass suiciding, but nobody knows why. And I think that his ability to do the power of suggestion is really actually quite terrifying. If you think of like Jessica Jones and like what's his name, Kilgrave. Yeah. I mean,
it's very
think
similar.
about how terrifying that kind of power is over somebody, because you're so influenced. And we haven't even seen the full repercussions of that yet, because he obviously did it to Shinju and to the Snail Bride, but we haven't seen what that was. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We have the CEO temptation of Gia, and this was part of like a three-pronged approach where they would go, confront Leung, confront Gia, confront Li Rong, and all of their attempts failed, which is very, very satisfying.
Yeah, because it's all hinged on them not working together or working antithetical to each other, and the payoff of them working together is sweet.
Yep. Shinju, although it's spelled differently in different versions.
I think
this is the one I'm going with.
Well, I mean, you pronounce it Shinju, but it can be spelled Sinju.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But he wants to be Yuri's family.
Borscht. That was like my favorite thing. I'm, Russian, so just the borscht made me very happy. I was like, your recipe includes peppers, and he also made fish for her. It was so cute. I love
Yeah,
that
it
scene.
made me really hungry for borscht.
Me too.
Like I was like, I just want to eat some borscht with like a big dollop of whipped cream or sour
Mm-hmm.
cream on top, and like,
Dill.
oh,
Yeah.
dill, yeah, oh yeah.
So good.
I love K dramas and Asian dramas because like they show people eating, they show people interested in food, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so different than North American media where people never eat or they eat
Never
like a
eat.
piece of toast on the way out of the door. Um, yeah, I don't know. I love it. Lee Rung rescues the kid. We don't really have a name for him, but he was formerly the puppy Blackie that he
He's
had.
yeah, he's Huso.
Oh, yo, we did get a name. Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he's yeah, we got the name from the confrontation with the stepfather that happens, and
Yeah.
yeah, but we see the kid is like Lirong and Yuri and this child are all like really great examples of people that have been victimized and
Mm-hmm.
cast off by society, and like that them all kind of coming together and forming this little family unit is, I don't know, it makes me very happy.
Yeah, and like I don't think that Leong is eh, like he's also part of the family now. Like they're all kind of coming together. It's
Hmm.
very satisfying. I don't know. Like
It
this
just
is
feels like an Asian drama then, right?
yeah.
Because Asian dramas typically, revolve around the societal and cultural connections and relationships that you have with other people. Even if it's not your real family, it's your found family. It's people that
Yeah.
support you and understand you, and how necessary that is for us to develop and grow as human beings. So
Yeah.
it's good.
And then, as a result of that, we get Shinju and Yuri playing house with the
Hmm.
kid. Provided, I mean, they did it, and so now they have a kid. It's just very,
It escalated quickly, and he pretty much was
yeah.
going to ask her to marry him when before Leon put his head in. But
It's like, hey, what are you doing here? Oh, okay, continue with your
she's
weird
like, "This isn't your
girl.
house."
Yeah. Yeah. Li Rung is stuck in the deal, the fox's promise. So he feels very stuck. He reaches out to Liang to try and get some help. And we don't see that like resolution until the end of the, delivery of the behind the scenes moments. But it's done very, very well to increase the tension of the story.
Hmm.
Yeah. The urban legends team is recruited by showing them their past lives, and then instantly they take on this role of responsibility over
For
Jia.
$77 an hour, I would too. So just
Well, I mean, yeah,
FYI.
yeah, yeah, fair, no,
Pay
fair,
me.
but they also care. They care about Jia too,
Hmm.
right? Like they showed up without necessarily
No
that.
prompting. They just showed up and were like,
Mm-hmm.
we know that you're hanging out with this nine-tailed fox now, so we're worried about you. We want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah. The Chinese lanterns are the key to it all. Well, they have Jia's parents, and they are a product of the Mugi seed that he
Hmm.
can create, or the Mugi can create. And I'm wondering if we're going to get to see Jia do some of these things, some of these powered
She is the Imugi. She has that
things.
power, I'm assuming, but it's in the hands of another personality. We'll get into that, but
Yeah.
yeah, you are his vessel was. I just got war flashbacks to like Star
Yeah.
Wars. Sorry.
Yeah, we're still we're gonna wait and see and how it turns out and everything
Yeah.
like that because this feels already different. It's just more we both were like, don't no
No.
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 Hey, writers, forget those words.
Yeah. Please.
Liang and Jia confront Telopia in the underworld immigration office. This was such a cool scene.
I love that scene. Yeah.
It was
I
a
mean,
cool subversion of what you were expecting, where it's like I'm not gonna go jump directly into the like the shadow world, this shadow mysterious world, but Jia is just like, no, we're gonna go, and that
mhm.
is a Twilight parallel. Like, Bella like never had a problem with the weirdness, and I
Yeah.
really love that they're like just stepping on the gas pedal instead of being like, oh, maybe she would be afraid. No, she's not
No, that's
afraid.
her personality, and it's been
Yeah.
established from the beginning is that she's never been because she understands that that exists. She's never questioned it. She just doesn't know the extent or the scope of the universe that she's now existing in, or she's always existed in. So it's been really great to see her just really embrace that. I love the conversation with her and what's his name, the husband.
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, just, and also I should have put that in the speculation, but the fact that they actually talk, and she's like, well, at least I know if I die I get to meet such a nice person. uh we call that lampshading or foreshadowing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. The you know, Li Rong agrees to capture Li Yong and invites him for poisoned coffee. We know that now at the end that this is all just a ruse, but it's I really like that they go and meet kind of in a conservatory or like,
Mm-hmm.
like an indoor garden, and it's a very pretty set.
Yeah, I should have looked up where that was because it's one of those places that we should visit along with the folklore visit, the folk
Folklore
village.
village, yeah, the Korean folk village. It's like now we're just making our giant list of where we need to go when we Jeju
Go to
Island.
South Korea.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Jeju Island for sure.
yeah,
And an actual location is now available to us to go visit there, so that's good.
yeah.
Um,
I really liked the team dinner Jia had with Terry. And he attempts to leave without permission, and she's like, no, 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 where were you raised, and like uses all this social guilt to keep him there, which we find out that that was actually her responsibility, was to keep him there and keep him away, and run at a time, run the clock basically on the play that they were doing.
yeah,
And I just love that she was able to contribute to something and then confront Terry with it.
yeah. I think the best part of that conversation on rewatch was the fact that he's doing all this like really, I don't know, it's as an older woman who has dealt with younger men who are trying to like butter you up or tell you that they like you, which he does this whole entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite fond of you in here for that reason. Is that, like you're just kind of like trying to like very politely skirt all of this attention that he's giving her, and obviously he's doing it to probably catch her off guard, but also he's really, as we find out next episode, actually interested
Yeah.
in her. Your dark union theory has stood up. Hardcore. Congratulations. Also, your shoes theory. I love that you called out the superstition about shoes, and they actually literally said it. Show. So, again, you don't miss. So, but yeah, that whole conversation is quite fascinating from the perspective of, yeah, she knows who he is. And I already knew that she suspected him early on, but, Leon being like, it's probably the person next to you. This new intern you just got. I mean,
yeah,
that's convenient.
Yeah.
So.
It was all a ruse.
So I'll go a little bit more into this as we go through the stream, but this scene on rewatch is so powerful because of the fact that you understand that, they are so close as in their relationship as brothers at this point, even though they've been very separated and haven't really had a relationship for the past 600 years. They are able to understand each other's personality enough to play each other, and it's just so satisfying on rewatch because of that, like just so that general understanding that they have and that they were able to work together, and the fact that Lee Yeon picked up on Lee Rong being upset. Like Lee Rong never expressed, outside of is that all you have to say to me, that he was genuinely miffed about being kind of abandoned again.
Mm-hmm.
And so Leon
like,
kind of stepping
drinking sad in a bar.
I mean, I've been there,
Yeah.
done that before. So with the azalea, like we finally have a relationship, but no, you're leaving me for your girl.
You could hear that like, puppy noise.
Puppy whine.
Yeah, puppy whine, drinking his scotch. Like
exactly. But obviously that turned out okay. Everything was fine after all.
Mm-hmm. And he definitely, like, he seems, I don't know, Kim Bom is just doing this thing with his acting where he seems lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really nice. I don't know.
Like a weight's been lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah, he's such a good actor, and there's a good scene later on that we'll talk about where they comment on that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. The CEO gets tricked, and it agrees to free Irong, based on the advice of our underworld immigration officer.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets out of his contract. He's finally free. Leong captures the tree. And Jia and Terry have that confrontation with the "I'm quite fond of you," and it's the creepiest moment when he kisses her hand.
Oh God, yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. That. Yeah, yeah.
He's like, I've got all the power here, and you, I mean, I won't kill you, but I will make your life a living hell. And I think that's really good conflict there.
Yeah, I'm wondering like how their powers are going to play off of each other in the future. Like if they're both like awake and Imugi powered, like what is this all going to do? It'll be really cool to find out.
Yeah, especially depending on whether or not they kind of go with that whole split personality thing that they've been kind of alluding to, which again, it was the vessel thing that we personally, you and I both have been very vocal about not wanting this to happen just because of the fact that it does take a lot of agency away from Jia. Like being possessed is not, it's not a very satisfying thing because it's just like, you need to do an exorcism then, and then you remove the negative elements of your personality instead of focusing on how to deal with that in a substantiative
I'm wondering
way.
I still wonder if it's going to be revealed to be more than what he's saying, and that she's going to integrate that aspect of him into
exactly
her.
The integration of the shadow.
I don't know where it's going just yet, but there is a lot of potential still, even if it's like maybe he's just saying it to be a jerk in a way, even though she maybe has all the cards. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Equally matched. This fight was very satisfying.
As we've said, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And he's so cocky. They're both so cocky. They're both so like, I'm more powerful. No, you're more powerful. And he's like, well, I don't have a problem with using my powers against those that are of the weak mind variety, i.e. humans. Ah ha ha. Evil laughter.
Ha. I lack empathy. Ha ha ha. I can kill a bunch of people and you have to save them. And obviously you can't save all 132 people that just gave up their lives. And it's terrifying. And, having that understanding that he not only represents sort of this suggestive ability for suicide, but also
it's very the darkness in ourselves, right? That evil voice that talks to us, that that's what's being played out like in the show. It's fascinating.
Yeah, he's very devil demonic kind of like but just taking advantage of what people are already feeling in their heads. So scary.
I like what they did. The fight was fun. It was I don't know how much it took from like a CGI perspective versus like practical stunts, etc. But it was very entertaining and felt like these two were gods that were like fighting each other, and I love that.
It felt like a show off between God and the devil, and I like that.
Yeah. We experienced some change of fairy tale.
Yeah, let's talk about that because there's a really great, metatextual conversation between Jia and Leon when they're walking about The Little Mermaid. And obviously, most people are familiar with The Little Mermaid, but if you're not familiar with Anderson's original story that was adapted, obviously it ends with the Little Mermaid becoming sea foam. She sacrifices her life
to
for
save
the happiness
the
of the prince.
Yeah,
to save the prince. And Jia is like, I would have killed the prince. And Leon is like, I would have killed the witch that cursed me.
And Jia says, I want to have the prince and kill the witch.
Kill the witch.
Yeah, which, I mean, you and I have talked about a lot, like, especially in the times that we live in, which is, like, of biblical proportions. Grimdark has no place in my frickin' fiction. Like, I hate grimdark. I hate realism. I hate nihilism. Like,
Edgelords get out. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
like
just done with it.
no.
The dark and gritty shit was like, it was okay when we were going through a specific period of time where we didn't have those concerns like actually at our door about like starvation, financial insecurity, uh,
Fascism.
fascism, like that kind of stuff. Obviously it's fun to imagine that you'd be like this individualistic person surviving in a post-apocalyptic world, and that everything is nihilistically dark, and that you will eventually die. Just how do you live your life before that? That stuff can be okay in like good times, fat times, because it's sort of like, it's a fantasy about power and being able to overcome your circumstances. But in the case of like the reality of the situation, oftentimes our fantasy goes back to what do we do as people that allows us to overcome these obstacles? Well, the most important thing is to get allies, right?
Yeah.
We have to have help. We
we
cannot be
we have to build
individuals.
community, we have to have
Mm-hmm.
support, and like that's very classic Star Wars A New Hope. Like you think about that, and that's hope punk. That's the idea that at all costs we can still have hope, we can change fate, we can change the fate's designs, even though we're on this like path, like we can overcome it. And like it's a subversion of expectations that everything is meant to be null and void or terrible or everybody's meant to
Yeah.
die.
You can tell me it's a tragedy, but if I don't fight with my last breath to make it not a tragedy, then what am I doing here on this planet? Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to just there. I mean, and I'm saying this in a sense that like nihilism has its merits in terms of the actual philosophy, not the when we're talking about nihilism, we're talking about the idea that everything is bad and everybody's evil and everybody's looking out for themselves and won't help each other. And to exist like that is to exist alone, and to be separated from your community, your humanity, and any sense of hope or joy. So
RJ Anderson in the chat, and thank you everybody for showing up and
yeah.
chatting with us, said Tolkien pointed out that um, people who disdain escapism are most opposed to the idea of escape are jailers.
Yes, because they don't want you to imagine a better world or a better
Mm-hmm.
future for yourself and other people. Like,
Because the system is accommodating them, the system is benefiting them in some way. And so you'll find a lot of people that like nihilism, they like grimdark, are often, maybe more on the misogynistic side, maybe more on the fascist side, maybe like the current system of darkness is benefiting them.
yeah, well, I mean, not to use my like Slava Zizek voice, but like, like the idea behind the ideology of fascism is that, the weak perish, the strong survive. And
Mm-hmm.
who we define as the strong and who we define as the ones that are allowed to live and to increase their benefits and wealth
Mm-hmm.
and security in this world are the chosen ones. And if you are a more empathetic and more progressive person, you'll typically understand that no, anything that doesn't lift up everybody is a
Mm-hmm.
failure, is an
And
absolute
that's
failure.
where I warn about neoliberalism in general, because it
Mm-hmm.
has a very similar set of rule system, as far as if you are a capitalist person and you have benefited from the system that has made you and promoted you, you're more likely to hang on to it and use fascist mentality to maintain that. So I warn about neoliberalism like almost on a constant basis, because I really hate it, and
Yeah.
it slips into fascism very easily.
Yeah, it does. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of it comes from the idea of meritocracy and
Yeah.
that, or like the
Like
chosen one again, but a different
because you're
flavor.
a capitalist person and you've succeeded, you're more valuable to society, and that's BS.
Yeah, that's BS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody is left behind. And I think bringing it back into our conversation about the drama, I mean, we're very leftist, obviously. And I
Sorry.
think no, it's good. It's a very good conversation to have, because
Yeah.
I think we talk about media from this perspective because we live it. We understand that it's more important to have that kind of perspective when creating and telling these stories. So, like to bring it back, like we empathize with people that are broken or downtrodden, like our love of Li Rong, or like this child abandoned by his
Mm-hmm.
parents because,
Yuri, like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they got put into situations that are outside of their control because of the system that they live in. And if you don't look at those people and say, okay, well, they did bad things, but they did them because of the circumstances that they were raised in,
Mm-hmm.
then how can you have empathy for other people around you going through similar circumstances, doing crimes,
Yeah.
whatever those may be?
Yep, exactly. And so part of this whole thing is learning the rules of the game, using those rules to break the curse, to break the wheel. And this ties to a lot of the thematic elements that we've seen in earlier episodes like Samsara. How do you break the wheel? How do you change the path? How do you, get over the fact like we have Tilapia in the underworld immigration office, like, it's your fate, it's your destiny, you can't break it. Like, okay, well, that's telling us that we need to break it. We need to try harder to break it because inevitability is the antithesis for change.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think she knows that too. She's not going to be a supportive person. She's going to be like, I represent the rules and the architecture of this
Yeah.
universe. I live within it and
She's
I
the
have followed it.
establishment.
Yeah, she is. But she understands that too. And I think she, and the fact that she is actually an empathetic character who exists within it is very fascinating as well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they haven't given her and her husband a lot of time, but just the little that we got from her having followed the rules and killed her own daughter-in-law and then caused the suicide of her own son, like the consequences of following the rules without question are disastrous for a lot of people. And I also got to give a shout out to the CEO. I didn't get to screen cap this, but like the
Mm-hmm.
whole conversation around why he joined with the Imugi. He's like, I couldn't feed my wife and my children and my mom.
And so
So I
I
joined with the,
ate my wife and my children and my mom.
yeah. He's like, I dreamed of a better world because I was in a lower class and they called me a traitor and
Mm-hmm.
marked me. And, like horrible circumstances. Yeah. Dark times, but he's a representation of nihilism because ultimately he ended up alone living this destiny with no purpose except to be a servant for a devil. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
the Faustian bargain
It's
always.
playing into the like it's playing into the Imugi is the darkness of all people, right? They play into the temptation, the dark thoughts, the kind of all of that. Like it's this really
Yeah.
interesting metaphor that's happening
And I think too,
thematically.
to look at it from a Korean mythological perspective, the fact that the Imugi is it's an unrealized dragon, right? The
Mm-hmm.
dragon is what you pray to for rain and to create good harvests.
Mm-hmm. And
So
luck.
it's yeah, so
Yeah.
it's got all of this sort of like associated energy of like the rituals and the attention. The emperors would go out and they would, if the emperor, I think of like moon lovers where he has to go out and speak to the dragon in order for the rain to come, and if it didn't happen then he would have been stoned to death or killed. They actually set him up to like die in that circumstance, but he actually causes the rain to happen in that moment and then he is crowned emperor eventually.
Yeah.
Like the idea that the expectations of the whole entire country are around these like mythological beings that are sort of avatars of the ability of this leader to lead a country or rule is really important to that, because the Imugi is a failed leader and it's also representative of like all of the bad things that happen, but natural causes that
Yeah.
don't have any control. Like you want to believe you have control over these, but obviously you can't create the rain. It's just circumstantial whether or
Mm-hmm.
not the rain happens. And this is, I'm talking as somebody who likes to do rituals and likes things like that, but ultimately you understand that you have no control over the environment or the universe. So he's like the representation of plague and war and
Mm-hmm.
famine, but that's an abstraction of just the natural reality that we live in. And he is he evil? Are they evil, or is it just the all that negative personification going on?
Yeah. And so there's a lot of like these, nature versus nurture type
Mm-hmm.
levels to this. Like, your nature is to fall and fail and die. Yeah. What can you do to overcome that? What is overcoming destiny? What is overcoming fate? And
Mm-hmm.
not being a person that's like, I'm smarter than fate, although Leong will
Leon's been very, yeah.
would say that, but it's more like, how can you change the design of what is intended?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Does a perfect does the perfect episode of this show exist? Because this one comes close.
This is all me, obviously, like being
No, but I
very
agree.
excited about it.
I agree. It was such a well-constructed episode. And we've had some pretty darn good episodes in the show so far.
Yeah, some very powerful, impactful ones, but also from just a pinpoint. If you're like, if I'm going to show one person an episode from this show, no context, whatever, but it would just to get them into it. Like if I showed my mom and she's not really invested, but I want her to understand what the show's about, then I would show her this one because I'd be like, here you go. Like I can explain the relationship dynamics between everybody in like 5 minutes, and then like this is fun. It's a movie. It's a tightly scripted, well edited, very perfect episode. And on rewatch, it improves, which is always the thing with me with dramas, because a lot of episodes are not rewatchable. I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes it's like, it's a slog. It's hard to get through. This one, I was like, I rewatched it and I was just sitting there like, oh my God.
Well,
that's Li Rong saying Li Yong's words to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a certain amount of like, oh, hey, we're in on the joke when you rewatch it, and we get to see how they play it out. And that's always fun, too, when there's a mystery that's going to be revealed, etc. You get to watch the mystery in the know. And I love the characterization. I love how they see each other's plots, and it's like cat and mouse a little bit, too.
Yeah, the whole idea of like the 3 traps the Amugi set, like I don't quite know exactly how far that goes in terms of whether we've seen all of them or not, but the idea that okay, rely on the fact that Li Rong and Li Yon have this relationship where they don't like each other, and even like, and it's really interesting that he like even disclosed that information to the CEO, where he was like, yeah, no, he told me he hadn't abandoned me. Obviously he probably knew that from the Amugi having witnessed it, and the green lady, the green juice lady. So I mean, they knew what they had gone through, but they still relied on Li Rong being abandoned and like pushing the buttons again, the devil speaking in your ear. And for a moment there, you actually kind of believe that he might give in to it just because he's had 600 years of hangups.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of emotional baggage to be carrying around.
Exactly. I mean, it's only been a few episodes since they had that confrontation. He's gotta work it out. So, but he did. And and again, like I really go back to the idea that Li Yon knew his brother was upset. And that is such growth between them, where he's like, no, I do value you. You are important to me. You've never not been important to me. And I will always protect you, and I will never abandon you. And just because I care about this person doesn't mean I care about you less, which is hard for some people, especially, sometimes people think about when your friends are like, oh, you got this new boyfriend, so you don't spend much time with me anymore. And you just don't care about me anymore. It's like, no, if you were my real friend, you'd understand that this person has value to me and actually uplifts me in different ways, and intimate, romantic intimacy that you cannot provide as a friend. I'm getting from this person, and you should respect that and understand that and love that and support me in that. And I think Li Rong actually, chooses that by being able to say, okay, let's play this game. Let me get me out of my contract. I'm not going to die. We're gonna figure this out together.
Yeah, let's be foxes together.
And and the dialogue, I just watched it intently, being like, okay, so this is Leon saying this, and this is Li Rong saying this, and because when you first watch it, you're like, okay, this feels really in character. He's just yelling at him for being pathetic and weak. Well, he's yelling at himself for being pathetic and weak. And that again is growth. That is beautiful. It's self-awareness. It's just this amount of like self-knowledge that you expect and want from characters over a drama. That's just chef's kiss, this episode. Just rewatch it again, please.
Yeah. It was such a solid entry into kind of the final arc of the show, and yeah. Solid. All
Solid.
right, episode 12. I love this shot. I'm so glad that you grabbed the screen cap of it because I like
Mirrors.
the
Mirrors.
mirrors.
Yes.
So episode 12, chapter 12, Catch the Tail Game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the mirror will reveal the truth. And they use the visual symbolism so well in this episode.
Oh gosh, yeah. In this restaurant episode, or just imagery, like you'll see if you watch the episode again, looking at the reflections, it's really important because Gia's reflected, but he's not.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's
yeah. And then
powerful.
like starting from the beginning of the episode with the broken mirror look,
Mm-hmm.
like he causes her to like look at the mirror, look at yourself, and then
Yeah.
the mirror breaks and it's like, oh, it's because the mirror is not showing the true reflection of self. I could go on.
The symbolism is rich.
Snaps. Yeah, no, they're just so smart. I'm really loving these storytellers. Please don't screw this up.
Please don't screw this up, please. I don't think they will. I
know.
honestly, I believe the actual screenwriter has been known for some good projects that have been well scripted and like start to finish and different genre, obviously, crime thriller and stuff like that. They haven't watched them yet, but there's a crime thriller is a good example of a screenwriting perspective where you actually have to care about the end. Like some
you have to
K-dramas
tie
are like,
all the threads together, right? Because it
exactly.
doesn't just rely on the emotional romantic climax. It relies on all of the mysteries. And this does feel like there's a mystery that they're slowly uncovering, even though it's all based on emotion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so smart. Yeah.
Thank goodness. And you can approach romance as a writer in that fashion as well. Like if you always think about like, okay, this is the end goal. Obviously they're going to get together, but there has to be obviously that conflict and that interestingness. And we've talked about this as again why we think we're right, because we said, okay, well, Gia is going to be the Mugi in some fashion, and then there's going to be that conflict between I got a killer or I got a fighter or something, and it happened. I'm sorry, I'm tooting my own horn over here again, but
it's okay.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
gotta do it somehow.
What do we have for joy in this life right now? Being right on the internet.
Being right on the internet.
All right, so Gia is reunited with her parents. It was a very cute scene, and all of those things was so cute with them.
I love how everybody like between episodes was like, "That's not real. That's an illusion. It's not gonna happen," and then it just happened.
Yeah, we were both like, "This is really rare." Like
it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, even like in any fiction, the parents don't come back.
Yeah, because it's part of the emotional journey of the hero or heroine to actually disassociate from the parents. It's like part of the journey is to get away from them and their influences. But obviously, she didn't have their influences growing up, so she's been desiring it. Now she has it again. And, it's kind of cool just to have these people here that are the in-laws for Leon to meet. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to marry your daughter, but I'm also several thousands of years old, mountain god.
Unemployed.
Here's a car. It's just really good. It's really good. It's fun, tongue-in-cheek setup here, and also good to give the actors not just that one-off moment, but to give them subsistent work throughout the show. Because obviously, again, we're working with a COVID production where they have a very limited pool of actors that they can use, but they're giving them work during a time when they wouldn't normally be having it. So,
absolutely. Yuri and Lirong reminisce about the past and how he raised her. This was fascinating.
Oh God, it was so good. And I have a couple of slides coming up for this, but I just love Yuri so much, and I want to protect her. She's a child. She's still kind of, she's not really a child, I should say, because her and Shinju, like, they've consummated their relationship, but she's not quite developed yet, and she's still learning how to be her own independent person.
Yeah,
and I think Shinju wants that for her.
She's learning who she is separate from Lirong, which I think is really, really important, but she's not quite ready to let him go, I think. Gia nicknames Leong Puppy. Uh,
in the we have a Samsung commercial and it's wonderful. And
it's
yeah.
really. She's like, you're my puppy, and he's like, what?
And then
What
he's
is?
like leans into it. He's like, your puppy's going to cry.
Yeah, it's just ways to break Marie Claire and Nat while
Yeah.
watching. And we watched this episode together, which was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, this is like we talked about it because it was like that last episode, you can't top it. Like it was so good. And this one was sort of like the feel good, everything is fine right before the stuff hit the fan, like we knew that it was going to be kind of a soft thing, but it was so fun because it's just so cute. Like it's very tongue in cheek,
Mm-hmm.
very adorable, very like I don't know. It feels nice. It's a nice warm bath
Absolutely, because it's gonna
before the
get
angst
darker.
hits.
Yeah, it's gonna get darker. Oh, I spelled Gia wrong, folks.
It's okay.
Gia is plagued with nightmares of the Imugi. We get the
The
broken
fated
mirror scene, and
connection.
it's like the fated communion, the fate.
Oh,
Like
fated communion.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. You can't prevent this because it's you that's doing it. Yeah, that's all
Hmm.
foreshadowed in the episode very, very well.
I like how
Um,
you said that she like sleeping with her parents was like the most normal thing because I was like, would I do that? Like, and you're like, no, if I got to see my parents after 21 years, yeah, I'd sleep with them and make sure that they were okay.
well, I was just thinking about it, like if I got to see my dad again,
Yeah,
and like I wouldn't like let him
be alone.
like be alone. I would like
Mm-hmm.
figure out a way to like sleep on the foot of his bed or something, or
Mm-hmm.
beside his bed, because it's the first time that I had seen him in 10 years. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Value that time that you have with people for sure.
exactly.
Absolutely.
You never know how short it is.
Mm-hmm.
Terry brings Shinju a cat and then enters a sleeper command that when she shows the Imugi ...
We'll speculate about that later, but it's very
Yeah.
interesting. And I also like how he doesn't remember meeting the Imugi. Like it comes up the fact that Yuri met him, but he doesn't say anything. And so I think that's
Mm-hmm.
a very clear indication from the writers that he doesn't even remember the interaction.
Yep. Yep. There was the super awkward dinner with parents, i.e.,
Beautiful.
yeah, he got dressed, he was nervous, and then managed to like botch every conversation in Gia's
He
mind.
took everything literally, which is
Yeah,
so perfect for like a supernatural being to
be
think that like
honest.
be honest. Okay, your bulgogi is too salty. Okay. But it's so good and I love that, the makeover scene. Everybody agrees the red suit is superior to any of the other suits. I'm glad to hear that, chat. You got good
You are
taste.
all right, especially when he starts unbuttoning.
Should I just hit another button? Yeah.
Just another button,
Just
please.
another button. But yeah, having the assistants help him with that was so cute too. I like that kind of formation of relationship between the secondary characters and Leon because, like, it's nice to see the family increase.
Yeah, exactly. Imugi has dinner at Mrs. Snailbride. Uh,
Another suggestion.
Another sleeper suggestion. We get couples ring. Wife that fox, because she gives him the couples
She gives
ring.
him the rings. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
important. She's like, I see it, I want it, I got it, and she did it, and I'm proud of her. And I think
If
he's
you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. And she was like, "Yeah, I guess I've been listening to enough Beyonce. I gotta."
Yeah, and also I can relate to that. Like, if you're like, she's like close to 30, hasn't had any serious relationships because her life is a mess. She's like, I'm gonna do all the things that I read about, and I'm gonna have a good time with this thousands of years old nine-tailed fox because I can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good. Yeah, even if it's a coffee commercial, it was a really happy scene for
It was
me.
lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm appreciating the product placement in this.
The
It's
product placement's okay.
yeah,
It's
it's
not like
fine.
over.
It's not
It's not
like,
bad.
this product right here is saving my life at this moment, like, because sometimes it's that bad,
It's
but
sometimes it's that
yeah,
bad. Yeah.
or it's literally integrated into the plot of the show, like Lost
We're taking like
Romance.
Lost Romance and the fragrance diffuser reads becomes a part of the show. Trust me, product placement's normal, but like
Yeah,
it can get really weird.
it can get super weird. Yeah.
Capitalism's reach is very far. So
Yeah. Yuri is told to kill Irung, and so she stabs him. Oh, that was a hard scene.
yeah, that was
Um,
probably one of the hardest things I've watched. And I we knew that he was going to be like the darling that was going to be victimized,
he's gonna be Sleeping Beauty.
but having Yuri do it,
Yeah, that was hard.
good job, writers. That's the one person I wouldn't want to kill for hurting my baby. So
Sad.
sad.
Sad. Dr. Shinju to the rescue. He's officially the medic.
Yeah, and Leon was there too. I think that
Yeah.
was great. It was just like instantaneous. Here's your brother is hurt. We're coming to help him out. Obviously,
Mhm.
he's really hurt. The whole question around whether or not they should use the Chinese lanterns is really good. I think that's a good moral question. It's sort of like having that trolley problem. You know, do we kill these people?
Yeah, do you destroy the souls or these people that are trapped in these Chinese lanterns to kill your brother who's lived a really long time and kind of knew he was going to die soon anyways?
Yeah.
Yeah, do not kill this baby boy.
Do not kill Lirong. And this, if you kill Lirong, I will have a, yeah, I hope it won't happen.
Yeah.
I am really more concerned for Yuri at this point. Not because she did this crime, but because of the fact that she is so self-sacrificial for Lirong. You know, she feels like she owes him her life.
I'm worried about Shinju for the same reasons, because he keeps on trying to sacrifice himself for Li Yong, right?
Yeah.
And he's got that job in the underworld lined up. um,
he's gonna be the ferryman.
Our baby kid puppy Blackie actually has a name, Soho. Suho. So he gets a name, and that interaction with Mr. Nine-tailed Fox was very funny. I love
like
that
how he
kid
recognized
so much.
him.
I love that
Runny
kid.
nose kid. And also, like when Shinju was like clearing his nose as a parent, like he's just automatically already a dad. Like he was born to be a father. And although this kid is not a nine-tailed fox, it's a reincarnated puppy.
Yeah.
Or he is, I should say.
He is. Yeah. The CEO meets with Liang, but Liang has a plan, and you can see the greed come out in the CEO's like whole existence. Like he's instantly desperate to live. It's really interesting how they're playing this like desperation that he has.
The actor is doing an amazing job, by the way. We haven't really called it out, but like his ability to switch on and off between things and in character switch on and off between things is so powerful. I'm so glad that they had him doing that job. But yeah, he is like your id, you know, like your need, I want it now, I got it now, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but next thing I need, I'm gonna do it. And
yeah.
like
and it's played out really well when he like sees the tree and he's like sees him and like it's done really really well. Imugi really wants a date.
Yeah, so that's where we get into your Dark Union stuff. Like again, we like the idea of this sort of dichotomous relationship between the hero and the seductive villain dragon kind of person. You know, like that's really, I think that's cool. Obviously, I don't feel any attraction towards Terry or his actor. And I feel really bad about that, but he
needs a different haircut.
He needs to actually do that thing where, you know, like instead of having your hair bangs wise, you can do like the thing, because the CEO even does that. Like all of the Korean men's haircuts and dramas are really great because they can do that like bangs situation.
Yeah,
I think of like Crash Landing on You when he finally does that. Like it's like
he needs to not look like a little kid anymore, which is the bangs across the eyebrows.
Yeah, it's too childish.
Yeah. I think if he manned up, like I'd be more in trouble, in danger.
And so I think maybe Gia would be too, but I don't think so at all. She's like, I've got him.
I like nine-tailed foxes.
I like Lee Dong-wook.
She's a furry. And then, you know, we discover with research, thank you, research librarians, we love you, that horse blood, or, you know, blood on a person fighting the Imugi is one of their kind of Achilles' heels. And then they trap the Imugi, but really it was the wrong one. Wow, this episode had a lot going on.
Yeah, that ending is really, it's really powerful for like that 2 episode ending, you know, like we know that's the change, right? Now, I don't know where Terry's going to go or what he's going to do, but I don't feel like he's going to be a pivotal part of the story anymore. Like he will be, but like in a sense, like off to the side. Gia is the main villain now. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's good. Like the pulling back. Okay, this is what the Gia is capable of, but this is, you know.
Now it's in a much prettier package and
Mm-hmm.
one that you don't want to kill any longer.
I mean, he dressed her
Uh-oh.
up in that outfit for a reason. Because
Absolutely.
dressing yourself
Mm-hmm.
to be the bad guy, which I think is like, yeah, it's like your dark gray outfit, you know, like, oh, got it going on.
Yeah.
Sexy, evil is sexy. Okay, let's just be clear. That's a trope.
So
That's good.
let's just go through a few of the highlights that we loved. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, we already talked about this, but Nishiya's parents returning. It never happens. This is so interesting, and I
It's
don't
so
know where
weird.
it's going. Like I hope they survive. Just
Stay in your house.
because it's
Don't
like
go out.
she even said that, like, don't go
Yeah.
out, like we know if you go out somebody's gonna use you. like
Yeah.
like you're in danger, girl and boy, like come on. So yeah,
Yeah.
we hope they stay
I
safe.
hope they actually provide some
Yeah.
information on why they went to that island and something.
Oh yeah, you're right, that they'd be
I
useful
I
for plot too.
I don't know if it will happen again. Some threads are left unanswered, but they there's got to be something going on there. I don't
There
think that
is.
they're
Oh, and there's
complicit.
also the weird, like, was she just always the Amugi and that's what's going on with her as a child, or is there more to that mystery than
Mm-hmm.
just what has been revealed? We don't know yet. So,
Don't know.
yeah, exactly. Yes, the fashion, turn to the left, fashion, turn to the left
Went to
scene.
Pinterest and got some reaction images for that because I was like, oh, that first one, a little too nerdy. That red suit,
Yep.
you should just wear that. But I think it's a little too. I think it's like Li Rong's kind of like look, so it
Yeah.
might be a little too not Leon. So like we have to like have him wearing the suit with the. I have the beautiful pin. I want that
I
pin. I have a
know.
box pin, but I don't have that.
I love that pin with the, like, kind of almost onyx, like, middle part. Yeah.
He's got a lot of that styling that I've loved in K dramas, where it's sort of a goth aesthetic, like a little bit, but not too much. Like the chains on his just and like the little, yeah, it comes out of like that late aughts or maybe even early aughts like styling. It's almost a little bit more scene or
Mm-hmm.
aesthetic. Like it's nice. It's good to see it kind of like updated for him. He's very gothic still. I think that's great.
Absolutely. And then, in general, I love that this was a secondary character who wouldn't have normally hung out with a main character of a particular area, and we
Mm-hmm.
got all of this play and interaction, and they're now allies, and they bonded over a fashion montage. I love it.
Yeah, it was a very cute scene. We obviously gravitated towards it because I used a couple images from it and was like, this is the best.
All right, first of all,
Unbound.
Yuri has done nothing wrong in her whole life ever.
Yeah, this montage and flashback was so important. And the scene where she's running after him in that green dress, it's just
It's so good, and he's
it's
smiling.
cheesy, but like
He's smiling.
divorced from context, if you showed that to somebody, they'd be like, "What the hell is this?" But in context, it is so good.
Yeah, and I even liked their, like, fighting, like,
Hmm.
montage where he's teaching her how to defend herself, how to fight. And like she is very childlike, very very like baby fox, like we
Hmm.
call her,
They're the
and
baby foxes.
yeah, and they're adorable, and they're figuring out who they are. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I love her.
They're trying, they're doing their best, and they're growing up together, and I think that's nice that like they met each other. Some I think RJ mentioned in the chat that like, it I kind of wanted to ship Lirong and Yuri, and I think a lot of people do, judging by Twitter. Like if you go through the nine tailed tag, there's a ton of people that are like, these people have chemistry. They should at least do another drama together and be designated love interests because they are so good together. Especially like their early photo shoots, and we theorize that they might have a thing, but having that like relationship that's very platonic but very supportive between them is almost a little bit more satisfying because of the fact that like he just loves her and takes care of her in the way that he would probably want to be taken care of. And
yeah, like he's learned from the mistakes of him growing up and has chosen to not, except for some, hey, eat some humans and kill some people, murder.
There's some bad,
but
he's not the best mentor, but
but from like
trying.
a supportive and from a loving environment perspective, like he's, as a parent, you try to identify the mistakes your parents made and don't do them to your children. Like you try to break that generational trauma and do better that with your own children if you're thoughtful enough. Like, and that's what I try to do, is be like, what did my parents do that I was like, I didn't enjoy that, and I try to not hand that on to my children. And he is endlessly there for Yuri, and I love that.
Yeah, it's not exploitative. I think that's the most important part. Yeah, because I mean, very often when we see these kind of relationships depicted between like an older male and a younger woman, sometimes it can feel very, like just not like equal. But he treats her like an equal, and he's enabling her to exist in the landscape that they exist within. He saved her, but he doesn't hold it over her head. And she follows him by choice, not by obligation. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, this drama is doing a lot to, I don't know, like, do relationships right. And it's such a small thing, but like, it's hard to do well. And it's like, you think of like an Olympic diver. It's like they dive into the water and it looks so easy because it doesn't feel like there's a lot of work going into this, but it is actually fairly.
You're 1 centimeter off.
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing it so thoughtfully, and I really appreciate this show. Like, I say that every week, but like, it's just so nice to have like a writer and like, production staff that love what they're producing and like are really trying hard to be thoughtful about how the eyes of the audience are going to interpret this and see it.
Fully vested in the genre, understanding the tropes and the pitfalls of that as well. Like a lot of the times,
like this could have people are shipping this, yes, but they're trying to make it very clear, like it's like an older brother, younger sister type.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with shipping it, by the way.
Yeah, of course,
because that's what fan fiction is for creating extraneous information, like relationships and situations where that could be a dynamic. And I think that there is a rich potential for that. Like, we're always very pro. Every ship is valid. I mean, I'm a little bit on the side of even like Lirong and Leon, which is very problematic, and don't call me out. But, like the chemistry between characters cannot be escaped. And I think that it would be really great if they both do something in the future. And wow. Next slide will show.
Yeah. So like, she'd never done anything wrong in her whole life except for this, but she was under mind control, and that's.
But it's an angst factory there.
And now she's gonna feel
stabbed
horrible.
him to death. Basically. And I don't know. That scene was horrible, but it was also kind of hot. I mean, Yuri's just hot anyway.
She looks so good in that purple dress.
Oh,
I think I told you that.
I was like, romper too. She pulled off a romper. I can't pull off a romper.
Who can?
Tall people. That's who can. I can't.
Yeah. Tall people of a certain weight class. But yeah, with the blood on her cheek.
When he touched her face and left the blood. That's another trope that is beautiful.
Yeah. That was very like Han Solo Ben Solo moment in
Oh,
TFA.
ouch.
I know, but he like the love and the
No, it's
trust
right. Yeah,
and
it's
everything like
it's a,
that is
I
there.
know that you didn't do this, or like
Yeah.
I know that you're not betraying me in this moment.
You've
You are not
never done anything wrong in your
wrong in
whole
your life.
life. I love you. I
Which is
died
true.
on.
And we talk about like intent when it
Yeah.
comes to villains. Like when you lack actual motivated Machiavellian planned out intent and you are just operating within the sphere or world that you're existing in, like that is something that you should have empathy for.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I really love her character and I love how they've given her a lot of time, but especially like these scenes that show like this back and forth between her past and how she learned how to kill with her hairpin, and then her stabbing the hell out of him, which was again hard to watch. But
and then the guilt on top of
the
that,
guilt.
like and all of her processing of like maybe I never really appreciated him as much, and you've got to save him, and going to the extent of stealing the Chinese lanterns, like
the stealing the Chinese lantern scene was whew, yeah. I mean, we knew that was going to be a thing. It's sort of like Leon was just like, go ahead and try it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
we'll see how it works.
This isn't going to go the way that you think.
Which is good for her.
Yeah.
I mean, even though she kind of killed like 6 people or whatever it was, but they probably weren't coming back anyway.
Yeah, they were probably just souls at that point. Yeah, because they still don't understand why Jia's parents were the only ones that kind of came back from the Chinese lanterns. So, and they didn't really explain it very well, like how they came back or anything. But I don't care.
Who cares?
Yeah. But not just Yuri. Everybody loves Li Rong because he's.
I had to put
this
on. I had to source it because these are really cute little edits, and I really like that.
He's a baby.
He's Sleeping Beauty now.
Yeah, he's Sleeping Beauty. Oh,
everybody gets to take care of Li Rong. And my favorite, of course, is this first shot where Leon touches his hair. Again, I don't ship it. I just think the chemistry is there dynamically. Speaking, it's just that they have such a very organic chemistry, and as actors, and also like the way that their relationship has developed over the show is the true romance of the show. People have mentioned this in chat, people have mentioned this on Twitter, but like they are the dynamic that has developed the most and has the most potential, most interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not to discount GR, but
what I'm thinking is that because like the end, it was like the start of the season's climax, and Jia resolving and having all of this darkness and conflict is the end of the season's climax, and then everybody kind of comes to the realization of where they need to be. It's just so gosh darn smart.
Yeah, it's smart. And like you said, like it's the initial conflict and resolution, and then now we get Leon, Jia, the actual romance. I think
that's what we're hoping. We're hoping. It seems like it's going in that direction. I still would like to see some hurt, angst, and comfort between Li Rong and Jia. I think that would be epic because what?
Episode 13 preview. We'll get there.
Did I miss something?
Oh. No, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. But I think it would be a valuable character build for both of them, and
they need to actually have conflict. This is a conflict-free narrative, and if it persists that way, that's perfectly fine. I think a lot of the time, sometimes, especially male writers, or just writers in general, will say, okay, this history of like conflict and romance is very big, so let's just move away from that. I think of the King Eternal Monarch, where it's like, there's no conflict between the people. All of their conflict is external. So if
I'm talking about like hurt, comfort between Li Rong and
I want them to dislike each other. I want them to hate each other. I want them to be mad at each other. I want them to be upset with each other. And I don't know.
I'm okay with more conflict. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I want stabbing. No, just kidding. There will be stabbing, but
yeah. There's not Li Rong anymore. He's been stabbed a lot. All right. Catch the Tail game. What is this all about, Nat? You did all this amazing
Okay,
research.
so here's your actual informational part of this podcast instead of us just talking about what we like about the characters. The Catch the Tail game is well, not ancient, but like older Chinese game that obviously has universal appeal. It is a bunch of kids will get into a line, all put their hands on each other's shoulders. The one at the front is the head of the dragon, and the one at the back is the tail of the dragon. You're supposed to move as one unit to try and capture the tail by capturing the last person in line. Obviously, you don't want the whole unit to break, and to do that is to hurt the game. But once the head of the dragon catches the tail, then the old head the old head becomes the tail, and yeah, you move up. Basically, it's all written there on the thing. I've never played this game before, so I can't really speak to it, but
Yeah.
you get the gist.
Well, the idea is that you're almost trying to play like kind of a capture the flag type idea, right? But it's with these sets of dragons that are very long, and there's a lot of planning involved, and that's kind of the
Group cooperation.
yeah, and group cooperation. So we have these different teams, right? Um, I do like the idea that like the old head becomes the tail.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool because it kind of happens in that like the person that you weren't expecting becomes the tail, i.e.
Mm-hmm.
Jia. Yeah, it's cool. I love it. I've very much been enjoying the titles of these episodes. They are always very apropos.
I feel like it's almost like the way that I try to title my fanfic. It's like you think a lot about the chapter title. It's not necessarily that most important to people, but you give it your all. I think a lot of people do that, but
Absolutely. Let's get into the now actually we found the research area of the Amugi story slash what is going on.
we did have an info dump these last few
Yeah.
episodes, so let's go through that. I want to remind everybody about the fact that, like in our earlier streams, we talked about the Amugi as I call it the failed dragon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important to remember that like there's dragons and then there's Imugi. Imugi don't have the legs, obviously we talked about that,
Yeah.
because they're snakes. They're snakes that are trying to become dragons. They spend 1,000 years underground near a body of water, and they figure out how to become dragons. And then when they ascend in mythology, they ascend by way of what we would call like a tornado, but I think it's more like a water like funnel.
Yeah.
The actual Korean word for the water funnel or tornado is like the ascent of the dragon. And so, like he says in the show, somebody saw him ascend and he wasn't able to become a full dragon. And I don't know the full term like thing around that, but that's pretty fascinating. Leon says it's like getting caught with your cell phone in an exam college, which I think is great. Like, oh, you messed up, and then you're resentful. Well, the Amugi
Yeah.
is resentful because it wasn't able to become a dragon, and it's constantly trying to ascend into this mythological structure. It cannot be eliminated because, like most fairy tales, folk tales, legends, you cannot kill them.
Mm-hmm.
They are everlasting. You don't try to kill them. You try to subjugate them or put them down in a way that makes it easier.
Or forget them, like what happened with our green lady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was forgotten to the point where Leon was able to just kind of erase her from existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think the Amugi can die, and I think that's very well established within the show, but he can be put to sleep.
Yep.
Can he? I don't know. Like honestly. And
did he even sleep during that period of time that he was stuck in the well? We don't know.
Good question. I don't know either. But it's really like from a observer standpoint, just watching, or audience standpoint, I should say, knowing that the Amugi is representation of plague.
Yeah.
Is a little bit on the nose.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? little nose. I'm going to explain sort of the mythology of this in just a second. Actually, we'll wait until the next slide. But let's go through his actual history as in the show, transposed by Terry. Terry of the Too Much Lipstick Somebody in chat meant. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the reason why he doesn't come off it. He's like too much, just the pink lip
Different
gloss.
hair, a new shirt, not as much
Dress like an
lipstick.
adult. Put a suit on, Terry. Come on. You're
Yeah.
not just an unpaid intern anymore. Try.
You're now an Amugi part.
We're teaching you how to appeal to a 30 plus woman.
Yeah.
So, he was the ninth son of an aristocratic family from the Silla era. The Silla era was from 57 BC to 935 AD in our terms. It's,
Pretty far
pretty
back.
far back
Yeah.
there.
Like
Before the
Jesus.
Joseon era, before Goryeo. Goryeo, yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, he's older than Leon. Almost killed by his father, saved by a midwife, kept in a nice dresser is the subtitles. I don't even know what that means. Given to people dying of plague, living in a cave, and then eaten by them.
Mm-hmm. But survived.
That's yeah. Let's talk about like a little bit about plague eating kind of thing like that. Like if anybody's watched Kingdom, the zombie apocalypse, and that is spread by eating the infected dead and or eating a
And we've
cursed
already
body
seen the hungry ghosts.
and the hungry ghosts. Yeah.
So it could be similar related to
It's
that.
a very
Yeah.
common trope within Korean mythology itself, not just East Asian mythology. The eating of the infected dead or the eating of infected flesh spreads the disease. It's the corruption, and it has to do with starvation and the fact that people did consume things that were not considered, healthy for their bodies, because when you're starving, you have nothing else. So like, let's remember, like, that's, we're privileged to be able to eat good food. So, and not a disfigured child. Uh, a white snake emerges and desires the human heart. Like, I like that Jia calls him on this immediately.
Yeah.
I know what you want.
You want to be loved.
You want to be loved.
Yeah.
What does the monster husband want?
Just wants to be understood and loved.
True affection.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a figment of yourself,
yeah.
what does that mean, Marie Claire?
I don't know yet. I need to process still, probably a little bit on this one. I really have not had the. It's a good thing I got some time in the next 2 weeks to think about it.
We have a lot of time, considering we got 2 weeks.
Yeah. They cannot die. They only sleep. All of that stuff. This is. It makes me question though. Why he wants Leon's heart, and is it because he has been influenced by and Jia?
Possibly. That's a very good take on it. I thought when he wanted his body and his heart or whatever, he wanted something to influence Jia through Luke. I'm going to wear the skin
of your love, yeah.
Of your love.
But because it's Jia that's been the owner of the soul of the Amugi for a while, I don't know anymore.
I don't either. I think being born with it and having survived multiple lifetimes with it, like we talked about before, there's something there that we just aren't quite tapping into that hopefully the writers do. If they leave that thread, it's not going to be a loss. It'll just be whatever. But I do think that they have a lot of rich potential there from the fact that she has, the Mugi has persisted in her throughout lifetimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Into the Serpent's Cave.
So yes, I'm going to butcher the actual pronunciation on this, but let's talk a little bit about the Serpent Cave of Gimyeong. So there is a literal actual Korean folktale, actually multiple Korean folktales as talked about in the show. I, in the last slide, showed how they were bringing up this author who had been from Jeju Island who, transcribed folktales, but I was not able to find that actual person online. So I don't know if it was made up or if it's just something that's outside of my reach as a English speaker without Korean access. But good to know, after doing a little deep dive into it, that these folktales actually exist around the Serpent Cave, or Sagul, located on Jeju Island, near the town of Gimyeong. So the story goes that every year around this cave, which is shaped like a serpent in the sense that it has a very nice hole, and then it has
It
a
goes
long
deep in.
tunnel
Yeah.
deep in. It's out. There's a bunch of volcanic caves on Jeju Island. Understandably, Jeju Island lies between Korea and Japan. It's a very active region when it comes to the plates and stuff like that. So this cave is very special. But what happened was, oh, sorry, what happened in the myth, in the folklore itself, was that every year the villagers would hold this ritual where they appeased a giant serpent that lived in this cave that was responsible for the harvest and would ruin the grain fields if it wasn't appeased. They would give over a maiden sacrifice. Nobles were not willing to give up their daughters, so only commoners were able, all the commoners' daughters were basically sacrificed each year. I mean, we know this story, right?
Yeah.
It's very common.
Yeah, sacrificing the girl to the dragon. Yeah.
I mean, every single culture has this. It's a very universal myth, but especially in Korea, this is very interesting because they have the idea that a judge comes in, and in some of these versions of the tale, it could be a Buddhist monk, it could be a person of nobility, but in this case, it's a judge. He holds a ritual. He has all of his men attack and kill the dragon, and the shaman says, "Do not look back, or you will die." Well, just as with like Orpheus and Eurydice, like you're going to have that look back, right? In this case, it's the fact that one of his men says the sky is raining blood, and he looks back because he's like, how is the sky raining blood? It's the dragon's blood had come out of its dead corpse and basically kills him in the spot. So it's the Amugi murdering the person that slew it after it was murdered. This is an important part of the myth that's already been kind of established by the show. We'll see how it comes to play out.
And we did see that picture of Jia's parents next to the serpent cave.
Yes, exactly.
Even if it's a different quote unquote fictional island, it is the same. It's pulling from the same
Jeju
thing.
Island.
Yeah.
It is not specifically this cave though, because this cave is very it's like a historical site, so they actually do not allow people to go to it anymore. But they are using the same mythology of that cave on Jeju Island. They filmed on Jeju Island because everybody films there. It's a very important tourist spot for Korea because it is such a
they're plugging into it,
right?
Yeah.
It's placed in that perfect area where you can not only have Chinese tourists but also Japanese tourists. And also, again, as we talked about in our earlier streams, it is a site of a lot of historic horror and awfulness. And it also in itself, and from a Korean folklore mythological perspective, is isolated from the mainland in its like rich traditions shamanically. I've gone down rabbit holes and I could talk for hours on this, but I'm not going to do it on this podcast or stream. But if you do get into it, I really want to note that Korean folklore is much like a lot of other cultures, divided between what we would call literary tradition and oral tradition. And so a lot of that oral tradition is not being recorded or saved, but is, developing mimetically over time. And the people that actually go and do that kind of research and actually translate it into English, bless them. I found a few links, and I'll try to include as many as possible in further streams, but Jeju Island itself is great.
We always recommend the Encyclopedia of Korean Folklore. It is very
good.
It's like literally where we go first. So for these streams. So if you're interested in just searching anything that's available there, it's very helpful. The Lindworm myth. And when I saw this slide, because Nat had done all these amazing slides, I just loved it. It's so great.
I had to include this because of the fact that, like, we've talked about the Lindworm myth before, because it's born out of the Eros and Psyche myth, the monster husband myth. For people that are not aware of like the way that me and Marie Claire talk about like folklore, it's I think we almost assume, right? Like people understand that.
Yeah.
You should explain this better than I. You could probably explain it better than I can.
Well, like the Psyche and Cupid myth, or just like the
Yeah.
monster okay, so
Monster husbands. Let's go.
oh goodness. I did not mentally prep to do this, but it's okay. We'll do it. So monster husbands are like an entire psychological
Mm-hmm.
layer of fiction by which we and they're probably some of the first femme gaze true fiction that exists, and some of the oldest fairy tales. For example, Beauty and the Beast, which is an offshoot of Psyche and Cupid. Psyche and
Mm-hmm.
Cupid being, I'm in a terrible situation and I am rescued by this situation by somebody who has fallen in love with me and genuinely wants me to love them, but with caveats.
Mm-hmm.
And the caveats are, I can't really know their true self. And it's all of this basically psychological layers to drive the woman into a heroine's journey to truthfully come into her own power and thus be worthy of love.
Mm-hmm.
And the monster husband is wants to be loved but cannot reveal their full self to the person or be the full prince, or you know, is in the guise of a monster like Beauty and the Beast, or Psyche and Cupid, who is considered to be the most Cupid or Eros is considered to be the most fearful god because and that's the monster aspect, is because he can make anybody fall in
Fall in
love.
love. Yeah.
Anybody, gods, humans, everybody is afraid of falling in love against their will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the horror aspect of Psyche and Cupid. And so this is all just in the idea of figuring out how to love yourself so that you can love another person. That's all that's going on with monster husbands. But they do it in this like very thematic and symbolic way with monster husbands, to love the worst version of yourself, which is actually projected on the monster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a confrontation with the self, but it's epitomized through
I don't
folklore.
know if that was
Exactly.
good, but
That was perfect. That was the perfect way to deal with it. And I don't know if this show is as deep as that. What I wanted to do is include that because as soon as I heard I want love and she said I know that you want love, you were a disfigured child, I wanted to bring to attention the Lindworm myth because it's one of my favorites too. It's one of the earliest studied from a Jungian standpoint, as in terms of the way that we confront our own shadows and ourselves. So if you're not familiar with the Lindworm myth, Prince Lindworm is a Scandinavian myth. It's very old. The first son of two twins born to a queen who had to ask a witch for help. She ate two roses. She gives birth to two children. One is born a snake, disfigured, and it slithers off into the bushes. Eventually shows up when his brother is getting married and says, I need a bride, eats his brides, and then they end up giving him a woodcarver's daughter, a commoner's daughter. She runs into the woods after she learns about the news about being married and confronts the witch. And the witch says, you need to do this. You need to whip him and bathe him and make him remove his skins first and foremost before you do that. And then you will be fine. And she does, and he's transformed back into a handsome prince because the power of love and the confrontation of the ugliness that is inherent within us, it is a part of us, is how you find true joy, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really good, powerful story. I don't know if the writers went that deep. I don't think they did, but I think it's really cool as a kind of parenthetical.
I'm getting a little speculative, but I think we might, and I'll just throw this out there and we can get into it more with the speculation. I think it's going to be a very similar ending to Love and Redemption, where the ending is a union of the self in a way. Yeah. I think we're letting and the woman gets to live, and fall in love with who she wants to, and
a separation of the darkness into a externalized form,
but understanding of it.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I because she finally understands who she is in the end, and then like she's able to live her life how she wants to. I think that that's really important. um Broken mirror.
Wait.
Oh wait,
Before we
sorry.
go on, I want to just give a shout out to a couple of different myths. I didn't mean to like
Oh sure,
stop
yeah,
mid.
sorry, yeah.
Um,
St.
so
George and
I
the
think
Dragon.
okay, so Korean myth is very separate from Western myth, and I want to like put that line down the middle and say that like just because I'm talking about one doesn't mean I'm talking about the other, but the absolute like the similarities are there, right? So
Yeah.
Jarnibelingen, which is like obviously Germanic myth,
Uh-huh.
Sigurd versus Fafnir, St. George and the Dragon. I wanted to bring this up because this is again coming into the idea that you have a virgin sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
who is saved by the heroic elements, who comes and slays the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, we have completely subverted that, and we have gone into the territory of, and I'll have a slide for this next time, hopefully, because these episodes will have some more interesting stuff. Monster wife
Yeah,
instead of
I
monster
hope.
husband.
I hope. I
I
hope.
hope. I
I
am.
hope. We're just sitting here, just like.
Give me my monster wife. Wife.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Like, oh, it's so cool. Yeah.
Anyway, you can move on now.
Okay. Sorry. No, I agree. And like, okay. Side note,
Yeah.
because there is similar things happening, we know from a structuralist perspective, it's probably deeply psychological.
Oh yeah, everything is though. You can't like
No,
you
I know.
cannot disassociate it,
Well,
you know.
you can apply back to say this cultural myth came out because this culture was this way in, in this time, but when you see uh, you know, semiotic similarities
Mm-hmm.
in the structure of the myth, you know that it's probably something related to being a frickin' human,
Yeah.
i.e., how our brains are wired, our experiences of birth, life, suffering, and death. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
related to that falling in love, all of those things. So, deeply psychological thing that we can see parallels in all traditions.
Yeah, and I don't believe in like straight up universalizing
No,
everything like Campbell. We don't. We don't.
no.
We think that everything is based in the kind of the cultural and societal elements that it's been indoctrinated into. Like think about the Chinese influences or even the Indian Buddhist influences. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
included Talisa the Woodcutter's Daughter because that's another good story in the Prince Glenmorm tradition of a woman marrying a snake. Um, you need to think about these things not just in terms of like let's westernize it. Let's
Yeah,
think about these terms in like this is the human experience.
yeah.
This is psychology from a human perspective and understand that there's nuances to that based on where you're born and what you grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we finding that kind of like little golden seed of like,
Yeah, we're
oh,
we're all
we're all the
human.
same.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And we all experience pain and birth
Mm-hmm.
and death and the fear of death and all of those things, and that's where this is coming from, is that the human experience
The
does
human
have
experience.
similarities cross culturally.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, your own experience, your own culture's experience, your own life experience will all influence how you interpret these things and how you look into them. But I find it fascinating when things are structurally similar.
Me too.
I love it.
I love
So,
folklore. I just think it's
yeah.
great.
The broken mirror, which was my
Yep,
like my
this is your jam.
oh my god, I threw out a slide, and you were like, yeah. But it means that there's a fated connection, and there's some very cool you know parallels to myth and folklore and
I'm sorry, I threw an
story.
Anderson Snow Queen there because I just like I had to, but
Yeah. It's all good. It actually symbolically shows that, like, okay, so when you look in a mirror, you are looking at your true self, the true reflection of yourself, and we see lots of mirror symbology in this episode. But a broken mirror means that you truly do not understand your true
mm-hmm.
self, and that's
Mm-hmm.
really really exciting, and that there's more to the picture than you are able to see. It also is a little bit of like from like even there's more than one of you because you can see multiple versions of yourself in the same mirror. The mirror itself, interestingly enough, has 8 sides. No, 6 sides. That itself, I think, is a feng shui
It is
type.
a feng shui.
Yeah, mirror. So it's like it's saying that there's something wrong with the natural order too, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. She's an anomaly of sorts, but maybe there to rectify the myth in some ways
Yeah.
because that, I mean, that's integration, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
when you take the scary, the dark, the evil, the things that have been otherized by society and culture, and you incorporate them into sort of like a fully understood and realized aspect of humanity. It's, I don't know, like I don't want to see that Imugi, just be slain, right? Like, we don't want to
Yeah.
see the dragon just be slain. Never. Our approach to like the monster husband or monster wife situation is always integration.
Integration, understanding the shadow so that you can consume it and it makes you more powerful.
It does, because
Yeah.
understanding that part of yourself is part of growing and developing as a real human being.
Yeah.
And I think that like it's interesting to look at Gia from a character perspective. She's gotten everything that she wants at this point. She's got her
Mm-hmm.
parents back, she's got her prince. She should be fine, but
But
she
she's
was
not.
born with the darkness inside of her. As somebody said in chat, we got our dark Gia, which you had been a very big advocate of, and I'm glad to see it happen. Again, we don't want to see those two personalities be separate. We want to see Gia actually experience the character development of being a fully incorporated human with the
Mm-hmm.
darkness, or it's like, what is it, like Robert Black calls it, eating the witch.
Yeah,
You must
eating.
consume
Yeah, and
her.
you eat the shadow, you eat that dark part of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can understand how to play with it and use it as a source of power. That's
Exactly.
from the little book of the human shadow, which I highly
Mm-hmm.
recommend that everybody read. It's very small. Like just a shout out to the Star Wars universe that, it is one of the things that Ryan Johnson read before he wrote The Last Jedi, and
Love you, Ryan.
it's very appropriate, and it teaches you a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And part of the understanding of the self, it's gone back into like modern psychology. We don't need to like
Yeah.
give any credit to like younger Freud. We just need to give credit to the fact that for most of the time, fairy tales and folklore have dealt with the dark feminine in a very
Mm-hmm.
positive way.
Yeah.
Despite what you might think because of all of the evil witches, the evil stepmothers, and stuff like that. No, actually, like the stories are usually about confrontation with that. Look at Baba Yaga; she's a
Mm-hmm.
perfect example. And Vasilisa, she goes to her house and she asks her advice and she follows her rules, and she is able to overcome her situation because of that. Like once you face the witch, and not, I mean, you can try to kill the witch, but she's not gonna die. She's
Yeah,
still gonna
she's
be there.
she's part of you, and you're probably just going to be like, from a psychological perspective, projecting her on the next woman that comes around,
Exactly.
right? Like that's what happens. And so if you never understand your own darkness, you can never be whole. And so
No.
this is where my little speculation is that she's going to become whole with the Imugi and become truthfully the Imugi. That's
It
my
would be
hope.
wonderful to see her integrated, where she has that mastery and control, where her body isn't being possessed by this outside source that is
Hmm.
masculine coded,
But she
which
eats
again,
him.
she eats him. And she
Yeah.
takes on his power, or
Mm-hmm.
even like I think we
it's
talked about
it's
this a little
based
bit.
in her own power. Like again, the shout out to the maybe there are two Imugis makes
Mhm.
me think she's actually a core Imugi deep inside, and there's this other part of the Imugi that is there, the bride of the Imugi idea, but then she is able to integrate both into herself. I think that would be really cool and transformative and transcendent.
Yeah, and especially if it is part of Aum too, and she's not
Mm-hmm.
just the separate person that like saved her dad, yay, uh, which I
Well,
think is great. But
mm-hmm.
it's the saving the parents thing puts you into that child position where she has
Mm-hmm.
to like constantly just kind of live up to the expectations of her elders and, perform that versus having self-motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to see her have self-motivation. What do you want? How are you going to get it? What will you sacrifice to do so? And if she can do that by taking over the Imugi's power and owning it.
Yeah. And it would be
So good.
on brand for us breaking the cycle, which is a big thing that we've seen in this show so far.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Okay, speculation time.
We've got a lot of speculation, so thanks for sticking with us for so long. We really appreciate everybody who's watching and joining in.
Yeah. Okay. Snail Bride and Shinju's suggestions are what? We know Shinju's related to the
Imugi emerging from her.
From her, yeah. So maybe she turns into an Imugi. That would be really, really cool. And
that's why the production.
Yeah. Like she turns into the snake, and we get to actually see it. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
But I think it actually has to do with him preventing Leong from killing her.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah. I think it's more like let these things play out, like prevent Leong.
Or to kill her body if that is attempted.
Yeah, maybe. Like something along those lines. Like it's probably not anything to do with harming her. It's probably something to do with like
prevention.
Yeah, prevention of Leong. Like, yeah, prevent Leong from getting to her no matter what to establish this or whatever. I don't know what the Snail Bride's thing would be, so.
That's a tough one because what situations has the Snail Bride really been present for? Although from the previews of the next episode, it looks like they're going to try to conduct the ritual within that restaurant. So
maybe it's like feed him his favorite food poisoned or something. Like really
poison
low.
The food.
Yeah, poison the food because he did order the food that she.
Yeah. What's your menu?
Yeah. Like what do you normally feed him? So maybe it's related to that.
Absolutely makes sense for them to utilize that because they're just trying to like Leon already figured out. They're trying to get him as a chess piece off the board.
Yeah.
And like they try to get him to get dragged to hell by doing the Chinese lantern thing for Li Rong. So obviously this is
it's plan. Trying to take him out of the equation, I think, so that the plan can kind of because he's like much like Dark Union, which is again one of my favorite things.
We still love that, yeah.
The love interest, the third wheel, is constantly getting in the way of the evil plans, So, yeah. Is producer Mr. Snail has been reincarnated? I hope so.
That'd be cute.
Yeah, I think it would be a cool, like, he finds the tiger's brow, puts them on, understands his own role in the fairy tale, and it would bring him in and make him part of the fairy tale family. I think that would be really cool.
I mean, everybody has history with these people. They're fated to meet again. That would make sense.
Yeah. Is the elder son Bokgil important to the story? I.e., is the Imugi the son of the officers of the Underworld Immigration Office?
I don't think it's the son. I have a weird... Like, I'm going to just randomly throw this out. I've been drinking a little soju, so I'm just going to do it.
Good.
I think, based on the relationship that Chalupa and Leon have, and Leon, he's old, but he's not that old, and he has a father, whatever, but he still comes from something. What if Bokgil sacrificing himself after his lover died? What if that's Leon with, I don't know. Maybe they're related. Maybe there's something going there. That is a crack theory.
Yeah, they do treat Leong like a son.
Yeah, they treat him like they're his child. I mean, and somebody on Twitter actually said, "Oh, this is what happens when you meet the in-laws when they show Jia bowing to these two." And I really feel like that's the case. They adopted him. He's their child. She's a mother-son relationship.
Yeah, and it's complicated. I can see that.
I'm not saying they're direct descendants.
No, like he was reincarnated from a previous life and then became the nine-tailed fox, and then Yeah, I love that. That's so good.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah, it's a crack one, but I want to just shout it out because I think that, like, again, we're dealing with story that actually makes just, it's so good because it says that every version of these characters is iterative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how storytelling and folklore is, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
iterative. You're telling it over and over and over again, but you're changing little bits of it based on your own perspective or the time and place it's being told in. This is what's happening. It repeats itself. It
Mm-hmm.
explains why she's so protective of him, but also
Mm-hmm.
why she's so upset with him all the time. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and they keep on bringing it up,
mm-hmm.
and repetition.
Unfilial son.
Unfilial son not listening. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I'm going to have a
I don't know. I'll do a whole slide saying that was right if that long shot wins. Like I will just like.
I don't believe I will be. Honestly, I don't think that the show has that element. I think it's probably something that's just there to talk about their relationship being broken. But at the same token, like, I would love to see more
They've
of a
paid off
relationship
other
between them.
stuff. They've paid off
You
other.
never know.
Yeah, so I mean I love it. That's awesome. Kill witch darling Yuri. No. You think she's gonna
That has
die.
been,
I know you think she's gonna die. I don't
well,
know
honestly,
anymore. I don't know
reassessing
anymore.
about, like, when they show something in an episode preview, like they show her being like, take my life and save Lee Rong, and then Lee Rong wakes up and then she's not actually present in the pictures or the things. That doesn't mean that she's going to die. I just think that we should be expecting her to go through some trauma or pain or
Mm-hmm.
be put into a place where people have to protect her and save her. I honestly, after watching all the previews again and kind of understanding the way that they show things, they'll show a lot of stuff that's way in the future that won't be included in the next episode, but is important to it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is Yuri is absolutely going to try to sacrifice herself. It's almost
Yeah.
like she's so desperate for Li Rong to be back that she'll put herself in harm's way and then force the other characters to take care of her, which is fine, but don't kill her. Don't, you can't. No, they've established she's a child.
Yeah.
It's like killing a baby.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Will Leong go to hell to save Jia once again? I mean, I feel like it's just written on cards, like it's gonna happen. She's probably gonna die, and then
Oh, she's gonna die.
there's gonna
Yeah.
be a pullback or something. Like it's
Yeah, he's got apparently a spirit blade that can, like, the sharpest edge, right? Like, it's always
yeah,
about the
and it
sharpest
never
edge.
misses, and
Never misses.
it can kill anything, and
Well, it's supposed to,
except
like, be
for the
able to
Amugi.
slice. Oh no, it's not his sword. It's in the episode 13 preview.
Oh,
It's a blade that can actually cut off the soul, right? But it will cause harm to her.
hmm.
Yeah, again, did you not watch the episode preview?
I think I skipped it.
Oh, okay. Well, then you missed out because there's
I
some
don't
good
know.
comments.
I mean, I got a lot going on right now.
I know, but you missed out on the best
I'll go and
part.
rewatch it. Yeah, no, that's cool. I think
Slow
he'll
it
probably go
down.
back. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, anything else that wasn't listed here that you want to bring up?
No, I just don't want to know when I'm going to die. I don't want any spoilers in my life either.
Yeah, that was such a good line. Yeah.
She's like, I also like when she's like, you came in to bargain with me without anything to do. I'm like, well, me and my boyfriend are going to catch the Amugi, so.
I
And she's like,
guess. Yeah.
you're the Amugi.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
go
how?
ahead, give it
Why
a
didn't she
shot.
just tell her? Like,
There's something weird going on there.
yeah.
Either it's writing or it's just the fact that, like, she's so
She
separate from everything.
Well, I think she, like, again, playing into your theory, she doesn't want to break the heart of. Maybe she's always been the Amugi in all of her lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And then he was reborn as the nine-tailed fox to actually confront her fully. Ooh.
That's old god stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that's my jam, right? Like, the gods will never die. They'll
Yeah.
just be reborn into new forms and have to live out this conflict over and over again
Mm.
until it's resolved in a
Until it's
meaningful way.
resolved. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay. there was a couple of other shots that we
After all
we
of this
loved.
info dumping, let's just talk
Yeah.
about the humor of the show and how good it is.
It's so good. I just, yeah, why are all the hot guys either nine-tailed foxes or Moogies? But were they? That was very funny because then we find out that it's actually Gia, and then uh, you're good enough to be an actor. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Like, oh, I'm so happy that Kim Baum is back in the acting world.
Oh, it's so good to
I
see
just
him.
love it. I just
He
love it.
deserves the best. And I think with this, like, potentially, like, he has so many opportunities. And if he plays a lead in any drama, even if it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a family drama with a whatever, I will watch it.
Yeah,
As long as he's in it.
he deserves the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very funny scene with him meeting her parents, and the advice: be honest. It's like a god being honest is very awkward.
Didn't go to college, didn't go to high school, no formal education, but I just gave you a car, so
I have lots of money.
yeah.
Yeah, and your daughter means the world to me. Aww.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then we had the beautiful scene / commercial for the phone.
That phone is really cool. You can see the stuff on the outside. You open it up. You can put it into it's just product placement can be done certain ways. I think this show actually does product placement really well because it's sort of natural and it's not fully it's kind of integrated. So yeah, but your puppy is going to cry. I mean,
yeah.
Can I just give a shout out to the fact that Lee Young, he can go from being very cute, but like if you really pay attention to his scenes where he's scary, he's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
like the way that Lee Dong-wook plays terrifying is just so good. And I think it comes from the fact that he did like that horror show Strangers in Hell. So good. He knows how to play a psychopath. And he does a lot of eyebrow raises in this, but sometimes the eyebrow raises are not cute. Sometimes they're like, you're gonna kill me.
He's murder playful, and then he's like actual murdery. Like there's so many murder babies now. Everybody's a murder baby.
Everybody's a murder baby, including Jia.
Including Jia, Shinju, who were like innocent. Nope. Actually, he was Crazy Fox. He used to murder people. Like everybody's been a murderer.
Everybody. Yeah.
Okay. We are where we are. Everybody deserves to live because everybody is a murder baby. Shout out to Mrs. Snailbride who just wants to get it, probably.
I mean, honestly, if you're a widow for like as long as she has been, I would be. I mean, I feel this like reticence to be open to other individuals, especially people that you don't know a lot about. So she's like, you just want to bang. Maybe she banged a little bit after her husband got eaten by a tiger in his nightmare. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I love her. I relate to her.
I considering like that was the first thing that I was like, this feels fairy tale, and then I searched it and I found it and I felt very justified in all of that. Like I have a deep attachment to this character because it was
same. She's like my representation. She cooks for everybody, and I like to cook for people. So
me too.
And
I feel very motherly towards the people around me in my community, and like she just has seen it all and all of that. So I love her. And then shout out to the Urban Legends team, of course, as always.
They're so cute. They're young and they're like, they saw their past lives. They realize, they're so open to things.
And they're like, we're caught up in this fairy tale too now. Yeah. All right. Sad news. Oh boy. I guess I didn't
kind of,
see
mentioned it, but
yeah, but I didn't see the like next episode's thing, so I wasn't in the same headspace as you. I know.
You're not in my headspace. Okay, so everybody is contractually obligated to go watch the episode 13 preview and to experience it. If you didn't watch at the end of the episode, there's videos on TVN. You can just go watch it. There is obviously some stuff that is going to happen, and we've talked about like
that they're married.
They're married,
yeah.
And so in Asian dramas, if you get married in some way or another, you can at that point have
Yeah,
some stuff.
it could just be like a spiritual or a, type marriage. They
Just
don't
a
necessarily need to really go to a church or
Leon called
whatever.
them soulmates.
Yeah. They
So
they married, so
they
they're
are.
going to get it on.
They're gonna get it on. And then as soon as I finish that up, I'm like on Twitter, and then
You're
I'm
like,
like,
"Yay!"
a few moments later, Tail and Nighttail not gonna happen next week. We're not gonna get our scene. All of my drama friends are like, oh, they're gonna cut it. They're gonna cut it. They're gonna make it. They're gonna censor it. They're gonna swear to God, every time that you're an Asian drama fan, you see the previews, and they'll show you more than what they give you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely will happen. They'll cut scenes.
We hope that they don't cut it and it was just there to put a giant snake after they had sex.
Yeah. But I want you to pay attention to these pictures if you have not actually looked at it or watched it. Even then, okay, shirt on in the first picture. Second picture, no shirt.
Is the shirt ripped?
No, that is a bandage. He is bandaged. So this scene will, as somebody who's a very good drama watcher, will come after whatever problem that they face. It'll be not just happening because she becomes the Imugi. It'll be happening after whatever they're able to do to make that
did she hurt him?
Oh, I hope so. That would be so good.
And this is like the hurt and the comfort and the
We're making those noises. I'm sorry.
I love your memes. Me, my emotional support K-drama.
I got 2 weeks until I can find out what's going to happen and why they actually bound. So, I'm in dark times.
Oh my God. I saw a bunch of tweets about this, like, no, not my emotional support K-drama, because we're really enjoying it, and it's such nice escapism. But it means that we have it a little bit longer, which I also love too.
Yeah, I don't mind perpetuating it over the holiday. I am excited to be able to stream. It will be Thanksgiving weekend for us here in America.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's that great, but
to encourage social distancing, we were also
not get together with anybody.
Yeah. We were also talking about either that weekend when we originally thought that was going to be the last one, or the weekend after, doing a get together where we'll do like a Zoom call with anybody who's attending the live stream at the time. After the live stream, we'll take like a 15-minute break and then do like a Zoom call, and we'll give you all the link. We're going to probably do that, and we'll tweet about it too. I just think it would be really fun to get together as many people who have been watching this drama with us, and just like have a chat and hang out and open a beer or whatever and just have a chat. I think it would be a lot of fun. So that's our plan, either for Thanksgiving weekend or the weekend after. Maybe the last show we'll do that as a congratulations, yay, we did it.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, we have a very small group of people that are following this drama as it airs. I think it's understandable because a lot of drama watchers wait until there's a backlog of episodes, or wait until the show is finished in order to understand if it's worth watching. It's very understandable. Like, I have been there doing that right now actively with a few things. But December 5th is when we'll be streaming our potentially last episodes on 15 and 16. If there's a production short, then it's the 12th, whatever. We'll still be able to handle it. We'll have everybody on in a group chat, a group Zoom, privately, obviously. We're not going to share that with people that are just randos. And we would love to hear your thoughts on the show, and just in general, just like a kind of like a
celebration and like an after party.
Exactly. An after party. It would be wonderful to have that with everybody.
Yeah, I think it would be great. So we'll next episode we'll talk a little bit more about it, about what we're planning on doing. We'll figure that out, and then we'll share that with everybody. And again, the reminder, we will be back in 2 weeks. And if you need a break from your Thanksgiving family, whatever you're doing virtually, come and hang out with us on Saturday. It's Canadian nothing.
Nothing's going on. You already had your Thanksgiving months ago.
Back in October. So
oh my goodness.
So yeah, but if you need a break after not seeing anybody on Black Friday, not seeing anybody on Thanksgiving because of COVID, just escape from your own life, please do come out on Saturday and hang out with us on Saturday the 28th.
Much the same way our cast is all hanging out because they've all been quarantined together. So,
Exactly.
Perfect.
Absolutely. And I did want to do one last thing, which is, Nat, if you could show off your awesome shirt, you might have to stand up a little bit higher.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so people can see it.
Marie Claire got this for me. I give 0 Fox. And this is going to be for me for the rest of the show. I am just excited to see what they have happen in the last 4 episodes, because the last 4 episodes in any drama are going to be, or K-drama specifically, because it's 16, is going to be like the woo, and then like there's going to be some conflict, angst, disappointment, some weirdness, some things will be lost. They're producing at the same time that they're airing it, so we have a lot of grace for what they're going to give us. But I'm very, very happy. And also, this is my Nine-Tailed Fox shirt because Nine-Tailed Foxes are in this year. Love and Redemption, we'll cover that. I will be covering Eternal Love and Eternal Love of Dream in my own content that I'm creating, so
yeah, I'm so excited for you to finally get out all these emotions and thoughts and share that with the world. Yeah, we shout out to Vicky for finally getting Love and Redemption. I know it's only been a month and a half since it finished airing, but those are being subbed right now. And Love and Redemption, as Nat and I have talked about, and yeah, we will be covering that at least one episode. We might do a couple. I don't know. It kind of depends on what timing we have, etc. But we really do want to cover it.
I think we might be just do one mega introduction to the actual show. As somebody who watched Love and Redemption as it aired, even including the last few episodes, I did Google Translate. We watched it together on YouTube with a Google Translate script going on. It still is such a powerful show and a perfect example of how you can do a mythological story, including all these disparate elements, whether it be the Monkey King or Nine-Tailed Foxes
or gods or demons.
Yeah, but also it's a very gender fluid narrative, and I want to shout it out for that perspective specifically. Is that you have a main female heroine that ends up, being sort of this very nuanced, she's an iterative, again, version of a god.
Yeah.
In a very unique way. And her history, and also Stefan, who is her love interest,
also takes on aspects of unexpected.
The whole thing on Weibo was that he was the actual female character of the show. He was the damsel in distress. He was also obviously part of saving her, but she is an incarnation of the god of war, and he is participatory in saving her from her fate of retribution and violence. And it is so powerful, so good. And so good. He's constantly being pummeled as many heroines.
He's suffering
all the time, but it's in a very powerful fashion, and it's such a good show. And we will be covering it, I think, as a whole in a very brief kind of stream, bring our main points, talking about our favorite characters, because there's so many, and also some of the myth and storytelling that has gone into that show, because it is rich in that as well.
What I also love about the show is that it's one of the tightest C-dramas I've ever seen. In that pacing, it has all of the ups and downs. It doesn't let anything just fall by the wayside. It all matters. It's all important. And you have a magical girl transformation sequence a la Sailor Moon. I call
it the anime. Yeah, it's like a Sailor Moon. It's like Sailor Moon, but if the main Tuxedo Mask actually did something.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's so good. And really it just you can tell that the creators of this story put all the love that they
Mm-hmm.
possibly could and understood the importance of the mythos that they were telling. And that is so rare, even in C dramas that lean into the mythos, to understand the power of the story that they are telling from the eyes of the audience.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think if you're not familiar with C dramas, as somebody's probably
It's a
watching
commitment.
recent,
It's 59
they're
episodes.
yeah, it's a commitment. But I also want to just shout out C dramas for like the way that they're told and like sort of like the basis of it. Like Love and Redemption is an original story versus sort of like a web novel that had a lot of traction beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important because web novels have an immediate audience because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, I mean, think about the amount of Chinese readers that are like invested in web novels, but then putting something out there as a genre from an original fiction kind of perspective, but also incorporating elements of the already established genre from that literary tradition, which is a literary tradition, even though it's only been like a couple decades old or whatever. Oh, just so good.
Yeah.
And if you like story, if you like writing, it's important to follow these things because, again, we are very in our microcosm of Western perspective on what storytelling should be or is.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a very limited lens for that. Expanding your worldview to understand not only genre from a current perspective from East Asian storytelling, but also like the history of it,
Yeah.
you will find so much to be happy about.
Yeah.
You know, not all just anime and Meteor Garden.
Yeah. It's very,
It's rich.
you know, it, because there's like basically wizards with swords, it feels like Star Wars.
It's fantasy,
Yeah.
but a different basis for that
Mm-hmm.
fantasy. Star Wars was very, I think for you and I, because it was so steeped in sort of universalist traditions of
Mm-hmm.
like, here's some psychology, here's some myth, here's some folklore, here's some
Mm-hmm.
interesting things. And George Lucas was obviously really into that to the point where he consulted people he thought knew more.
Mm-hmm.
That was a draw for us. There isn't a lot like that. There's not a lot of attempt. Even it's just even if you make an attempt, like even if you
Yeah.
have like a gold star for effort,
It still
great.
can, it still, yeah, yeah. No, but this one understands the mythos and it
Mm-hmm.
shows, which is
It
lovely.
shows.
It shows. So, shout out to that. It's currently populating. I think they're up to episode 30.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of those are translated 100% or like 98%, and the intro song tells you the whole plot. So enjoy that.
It is, but yeah, I mean, even just the transformation sequences. Again, the
I
magical
love the,
girl
oh
fantasy.
god,
You
it's
have
so
your whole
good.
squad and
Oh,
and the self-discovery. I mean, again, Eternal Love, Ashes of Love, these are your two entry-level genre that a lot of people go through. If you haven't actually watched any of those, just even if they can be a slog at times, please just watch them and consider the fact that we don't have feminine based storytelling
mm-hmm.
in that
where
way.
where it
The po-
shows the feminine as powerful and still able to have desire. That's
yeah,
the key. That's the key, is like I have power, but I'm still able to have desire and I'm still able to be successful and have both.
and have weaknesses too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
think
and have
too. Like
weaknesses. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
we have so many self-described heroines in our Western media
But
that
they must be
are
perfect and they
they
must
must be
be in
perfect.
white and
Yeah,
they must not be scary, and this genre, it just like, ah it's just like a home run on so many levels. I cannot stop talking about it, and because
yeah,
it's available, please go and watch it. It deserves all the love that it gets.
yeah. I spent my whole summer in love with this
And then you
show,
dragged
and
me into it and I was like, what is this show, Nat? What are you doing to
and
me?
everybody that I know in drama fandom. I mean, I got dragged into it in the sense that like I've been connecting with people on Twitter from other countries, and I just want to like give a small shout out to the fact that there is an international audience for dramas. And if you want to know more about perspectives from other cultures and other countries, it's important. Like right now, I want to like give all my like love and affection to everybody in the Philippines that is going through the
Mm-hmm.
typhoons and the flooding that they have been. If there is several charity projects going on, and I want to say that like do what you can to support that, because it is a disaster that's happening. And like if I hadn't like engaged with people outside of my own sphere here in the southern US and actually like talked about dramas for the past year, I wouldn't know about that, except for like maybe something that came across my feed. So I really want people to understand that like the internationalizing effect of dramas is important. Don't be afraid of engaging with people with your shared love of it, because
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the thing, right? Like we've been told to be, quiet about what we enjoy and appreciate, and I think it's been bad. Like just be shout out what you love and
Yeah, love what
also
you love and
support
be
other
loud
people
about
that
it. Like I think somebody tweeted like why are people confused that Emily of Paris or Emily in Paris is getting renewed? You guys all watched it and then you all tweeted about it. Like
please shout
watch
out the stuff that matters.
yeah, like be loud, be
Be loud.
obnoxious, and love these things because this makes a difference. The reason Love and Redemption is being put onto Viki is because people loved it so much. They were
Yeah.
like, Love and Redemption. And as soon as it started airing, people were like, get it, Viki, get it,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah.
I followed. I mean, the fan subber that did that. I don't
The
have the name,
original
but
one. Yeah,
the
yeah,
original
yeah.
one was so like that one person was responsible for releasing one episode every day that they could, and that is so like that is to me that is really actually quite sad that we don't have the sort of support system or network for people to actually release these. Like Viki's a great system, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
owned by a large company,
Yeah.
and it is also by volunteer. Like I don't know if everybody's being compensated to do what they want to do with this. And Netflix also releases dramas, but they're not doing the subs very well. If you actually engage with Asian dramas, you know that the Netflix subs are kind of like dicey at best.
Yeah.
So
Oh, they're better than Amazon.
better. Oh, Amazon is absolutely abhorrent, and they will mistitle dramas. So do not go on Amazon Prime to try to find a drama. Like I know this. If you ever want any advisement on where to find a drama, I hate people asking me this, but I know exactly where to get it. So, speaking of which,
Hmm.
where do we find Miss S subs? Because I am still waiting for my Bengo Gao like
Mm.
treat. Anyway, if you know in the comments, please, if you're watching this later, if you know where to find Miss S, because it's on HBO Max Asia or HBO Go Asia and not on HBO here, somebody please release this, please. Again, I love I just wish there was some more. I hope that the ubiquity of Asian dramas on Netflix and across
I mean,
everything.
they're selling on Netflix. They have invested in so much, and then they made the they Korean drama specifically. They made the deal with Studio Dragon.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know.
the shift
It's
is
the
happening.
shift is happening, and we're here for it.
Yes, we are so here for it. And for everybody that appreciates them, everybody that has something to say about them, especially not us, because we're just like over here in our little Western, I'm American, she's Canadian, we don't know Korean. We're like we're just so desperate for people to actually care about this enough that like it becomes more of a thing. And I think it will
Yeah,
be. I just think we're at like a kind of like the front end, like front loaded.
we're we're the hipsters of this. We loved it before it was cool.
What can I
Um,
say? I lived in Portland, so
and then my hope is that it much like how webtoon has influenced more North American comic creators to lean into romance and drama and love these things, and shout out to webtoon for getting that deal where they actually now have a production company to turn these things their own product into great things. I'm going to cover Lore Olympus at some point, especially when it gets turned into a cartoon, which will be on Netflix. I am intending to, as far as upcoming in the new year, I'm going to be covering WandaVision with my husband. I thought that would be really, really cute to cover. He's a massive Marvel fan. I'm a massive Marvel fan. He's been covering, or he loves Wanda and
same.
Vision. And like, I just thought it would be really cute to have a husband and wife cover a husband and wife show. So, So
It'll be really good. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's such it's a powerful story and a lot
and
of, again, of
deeply psychological.
mythology to
Yeah.
like build into.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that as a recap slash deep dive show after each episode of WandaVision. So that'll be my first like North America North American media experiment.
I haven't watched anything except for I watched Queen's Gambit, and that
Mm.
was
I know it's on, like I started the first episode and I'm like, I need time to focus on this. But
oh
when I'm
yeah,
not doing two deep dive shows at the same time,
The
The
Mandalorian. Yeah.
Mandalorian, which I also am very much enjoying from a psychological perspective. But what I'm saying is that the more that you talk about these things, the more that you love them like you're fangirling all the time, the more people will see that and
Nerd out.
understand
It's
that.
perfectly
Yeah.
fine. People will unfollow you on Twitter, and that's perfect, or mute you, which is really great, actually. I love that because I honestly like, I am only ready to talk about things that give me joy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done talking about things that give me pain, and that includes a lot of Star Wars stuff. But like, Asian dramas have been so perfect for, like I said, not only expressing what I want to see in stories, but
Mm-hmm.
also meeting people that have grown up with those traditions, especially people from East Asian cultures or like societies
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I'm grateful for their input and their insight, and I'm honestly like, yeah, I'm ready to go deep diving into that that well, because it's really good, and it's written and created and produced and starring women, which is weird that it's an anomaly for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I love deep diving into this all about is that it shows me what I'm missing. And so I have a goal. I have a target.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to point out everything that matters about this fiction. And so you, as the audience people that are coming along with us, can also see it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what I love to do.
Expect more.
Yeah.
Do not
Expect,
be denied.
have
Yeah.
high expectations
Mm-hmm.
because you will get them.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say to everybody who is watching this now or in the future, please take care of yourself. Please be careful. It is a very, very scary period of time right now. And I send my love out to you. I send my hopes that you are safe and sound and that you are taking care of yourself. To the people in the Philippines, we love you very much. We hope that you get through this very safely. I'm going to do some research and try to put some links to charities in the liner notes after the stream. I just, hope exists. Hope is where, if our fiction reminds us that hope can be real and that we can change the fairy tale's ending. And even though the witch throws everything she's got at us, we can get through it.
Yeah, nothing is written in stone. And also, we are all one people. I know that when we look at countries, we look at like the whole of it, realizing that there are other human beings across the world that understand and love and exist the same way we all do is just going to be, that's our future. Like, we
Yeah.
need to remember that. And like, we're so sorry here in America for swamping you with shitty political stuff. It's not important. Don't worry about that. Like, nobody doesn't really matter except for the fact that, like, honestly, like, we should be connecting across
Yeah. Connect
everything.
about things that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please do, because
Yeah.
it will give you joy, and you won't be able to see people for a while. Our case numbers are going up, especially in America.
Yeah.
So,
And in Canada too, like it's getting very, very scary here.
stay inside, watch
Some,
soap operas.
yeah, watch dramas with us and hang out
Yes.
with us. That's an activity that you can
We're here
do.
for you. I've been doing that for the last year, so.
Yeah. Well, Nat, thank you for joining me on the Tale of the Nine-Tailed recap
Thanks for having
and
me.
deep dive for chapter 11 and 12 and our little after chat conversation, which was still lovely. I love you so much.
It's always good to just,
Yeah.
kvetch with you. It's awesome.
Yeah. And where can people find you if they're looking for all of your lovely work online?
I'm at Ashes for Foxes on Twitter. And I am also the host of the Meta Machina podcast, Meta Mashina. We are going to our new year with a lot of new stories and stuff, but we've been covering genre fiction from the femme gaze for 2 years now. Sorry, I'm coughing. Got a little excited there, but yeah, just follow us.
Don't die. All right.
I'm not.
Meta Machina, Ashes for Foxes. I'm showing her all of my knowledge, sharing all of my secret knowledge so that she can start to do her own content on YouTube too. And we will, of course, shout that all out when that comes out. My hope is to get her up and running before the end of the show so she can, get going into it and at least show exactly how amazing she is. And, with my love and support behind the scenes.
Yeah. I'll be doing videos, and I think it's kind of like the Twitter to YouTube video platform, but I'm also going to be doing some short releases on Twitter. But I mean, specifically, I want people to be introduced to dramas in a way that makes sense. I've learned a lot.
And helps them like baby step into it without being like, what is this world? Because it's always very disorienting when you fall into
Not
them.
everybody has I don't know how many days, 50 days of like literally 50 24-hour days.
I think I'm at 50 days
to
on my drama list
to that.
yeah.
But also finding what speaks to you and what's most important to you. Like my favorite drama.
Do you have your list of dramas that you're currently watching? Sorry, I'm
watching Love is Sweet. That's a very good drama with Bai Lu and Liu Yunqi. And
is that Perfect and no, that's a different one.
No, Perfect and Casual is different. I finished up Lost Romance. I'm also I've got like usually I have like maybe 4 or 5 I'm watching at any given time.
I'm pulling up my watch list because I can't remember all of them. Okay. Okay, so Lost Romance you just finished. I just finished Lost Romance too.
Lost Romance deserves its own video. I'm going to make one because it is a metatextual show. It is
I want to help you with the research. You can do it all, but I just want to help you with the research. It's so good.
Yeah. And it's also Taiwanese.
Yeah.
Which means that there is a 5-minute long scene that you would probably want to watch. Not with your parents or your grandmother.
Oh my goodness, it goes past the commercial break. It's so good.
Past the commercial break.
When his teeth do the thing with the thing.
When her hand goes over his hand like this. And I'm like, I asked my friend, what does that invoke to you?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
We're going to go past that.
Yeah.
Dramas are dramas. But I'm also watching Itsura no Kiss, which is like Tokyo, Mischievous Kiss, Love in Tokyo. Old
Mischievous Kiss was my first, so the Korean version was my first K-drama, my first ever drama. And so I've seen all of them now, and like it's interesting.
So this is like one of those Hana Yori Dango kind of situations where it's a very old manga from the early 90s. And actually the author died at 38 because she actually hit her head on a marble table when she was moving houses. So she never finished the actual manga. So like it has a little bit of a kind of mystique around it, right? Like you never got to finish that story, but it was recreated over and over again. It was very popular in the Philippines as well, apparently. Like they recreated it, and like Thailand has an adaptation of it, which is really important too. Never ever discount the Thailand audience. They're amazing. I love all my Thai artists, authors, everybody, and I love you. My drama mutuals right here.
And we're getting another Hana Yori Dango version in the new year for Thailand too.
Yeah. So. And I mean, that is like the wave. Remember when we talk about like the repercussions of like storytelling and iterative storytelling throughout cultures, and especially shared kind of things, even though the language isn't necessarily the same, like you have to understand like the rich cultural history and tradition and the spread, and like it's beyond us as Westerners, and we're not here to commentate on it, but we're here to say that we support it and we witness it, observe it, and think it's amazing. And I'm so excited for iterative storytelling in that sense. And again, Lost Romance is iterative storytelling. It is a transmigration novel story where a woman who is an editor of romance novels and who is in love with the CEO next door and actually like spies on him via drone, which is no, don't do that. But it's actually called out in the text that she should never have done that. And he actually gets his revenge by
he does. Yeah.
spying on her. It's so good. She drops into a coma. He drops into a it's so soap opera, but you have to just say this is the genre. It's silly.
Well, it leans into the genre and has fun with it, which is so good. And it has one of the most perfect endings from a resolution perspective that I have ever seen.
It's so powerful. And it felt like a sense of emptiness when it was gone from
I know. It makes me want to rewatch it. Many T-dramas have been my favorite dramas, so like as in Taiwanese dramas, like
Taiwanese dramas go hard.
Yeah,
even
they
have lower production values and
their sound is terrible. I cry.
Yeah.
Their sound is always so
It's
bad.
a little different with C-dramas because a lot of historical ones are dubbed and
I know, but it's always just like there's always a fan running in the background, and then you can't hear them. It's
when the dialogue comes on, it shuts off, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and when you're a podcast editor, you can hear that stuff like a mile away.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Oh,
yeah, it's my one like pet peeve, but like some of my favorite shows have been T-dramas because like they just like they lean into the intensity of the male leads. They lean into the intensity of the scenes and the emotionality, and I don't know, I love them so much. And they tend to think them through plot wise a little bit better.
It's a fantasy and it's fully realized, and I don't think that we get that very often, at least not in a way that isn't like discounted. Like a lot of the time it's just like, you want your Hallmark movie.
You want your Hallmark movie. Yeah.
You know, exactly. Actually, I do want my Hallmark movie, but I want it to be 16 episodes long, and I want the lead to be really hot, and he's probably a supernatural creature.
Yeah, and I'd like there to be some sort of powerful element to do with the woman who's actually discovering herself at the same time. Hey! I am quickly watching all at the same time, and I mean some of these are obviously on pause because I haven't been able to finish them, but Perfect and Casual, I'm still watching it. I don't know, I'm
still watching it too, but it was
terrible and not
subbed.
Great, and it's fine. I'm watching
I'm watching not good, but I love it.
I'm watching Startup on Netflix, which is so good. I have no idea why it's so good. Like, it just pays love and attention to the relationships and the characterization and all of the conflict, although internal, is very real and valuable. And everybody has their thing. Everybody owes somebody else. And it just, it grows on you, and it has one of my favorite actors in it now, because I just finished Bride of Haba, which is Bride of the Water God, also on both Netflix and Viki. It has where's his name, because I want to actually speak to him.
Okay, so tell me, like,
Nam Joo Hak.
People have been really anti Bride of Hibak, and it's got only like a 8.7 on Viki. Tell me, what do I have to expect that will be a little bit like drama?
There is no drama in it.
Oh, is it just that?
I mean, it's like Twilight.
Okay.
Right? So it's like all of the drama is purely based on the fact that he is a god, she is a human, and they cannot be together long term. But they find a solution.
Okay.
Through all of it. I just like it because it's like it's sorting through those emotions, and it pays care and love to those emotions. That might not be everybody's thing. Again, it's like it doesn't have the conflict, right?
Yeah, so I guess there's a different way to watch dramas, right? Like there's the I'm gonna go in for a couple episodes and I'm gonna quit it because it's not my thing, which is totally valid. I've done that with, like, recently I did that with the General's Lady. hit
I'm
me.
watching that as well. That's on my list right now. And it's fine, but
It's
again,
fine.
it's episodic. There's arcs. The arcs are kind of silly. It's something that I throw on when I'm doing dishes.
Yeah, I honestly think it's something you can probably watch in the background and it'll still be perfectly fine. I do like what's his face,
Yeah.
Mr. Meteor
Yeah,
Garden.
Caesar Wu. Caesar Wu.
Caesar
Yeah,
Wu,
yeah,
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 he's amazing.
yeah.
But like in terms of the story, didn't really grab me yet. And
I
like,
haven't like he was supposed to be this his literal name is like the Devil's General or the
but
General.
he just stands
Yeah,
around looking angry all the time. It's
and he's
not
not
that.
even mean. He's all like, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm still watching it. So
So with C dramas especially, I look to my mutuals, and again, if you are interested in dramas, please at least create an account or include yourself, find your faves, and find people that are tweeting about it and seek them out. I swear to God, it will be the best experience for you because you'll find people that know their stuff.
and then
My
you get the
favorite,
memes. Then you
my
get the
favorite,
memes.
yes, is please follow at Skimmed Milk Drama
Oh,
or
I
Skim
haven't.
Milk Drama. I will share a list of my mutuals on Twitter after this stream and just give each and every single one of them a shout out because each and every one of them has taught me the most about dramas, not only from their
Mm-hmm.
perspective, from watching them their entire lives,
Yep.
but also from like having a very good delete button, being like, okay, this didn't fit me. So like when Chung-Yi's new drama came out, like the star of Love and Redemption,
Mm-hmm.
Safong, his character, he came out with a new drama that was a historic drama. It was also starring the woman that played the villain in Love and Redemption. Remember the wife that was like fell in love with the deep, yeah, yeah, you know, the scary girl that was like the wife of the guy on the island who too much spoilers. Anyway, so there's a new historical drama casting these two characters because again, with C dramas, studios are important, right? We can look at Jaywalk,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
stars
yeah, yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So in this case, these two actors star together in a historical drama. People started watching it because they love Chung-Yi, and I completely understand that. But I didn't start watching it because I was like, does it have payoff? Does it have a story? Is it
Mm-hmm.
interesting? Is there a good female character? Is it really? Does it really drive me?
Yeah.
Follow your leads when it comes to dramas. Listen to your mutuals,
Yep.
find the stuff that speaks to you, seek it out, listen to the reviews. Ignore some reviews too, because some reviews are biased.
I watched it for Namju Huk, who Guk. Sorry, pronouncing correctly, attempting. I bastard that is that. I'm sorry. But
It's all right.
he is amazing in startup, and he's this like shaky nerd who knits, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved him, and I was like, I'll watch Bride of Haba because he's a different type of character. He's this very powerful arrogant god, kind of like
It's a very formative drama too,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And I was like, I'll watch this because also it's like how do gods deal with mortals episode in a K drama because I wanted more, under my belt for
that
talking
perspective.
about this
Yep.
show. Why are we still talking? But hey, we're here. But startup itself deals with a young girl who kind of experienced a separation and trauma as a child, and an older man who pretended to be a younger man, not young, older man, older teen, who pretended to
Mm-hmm.
be a similar aged teen to her, wrote her letters for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they all grow up, circumstances brings them all back together. And so she thinks that the younger man was the one who wrote her the letters. The older man is there who doesn't is wrestling with his feelings for this younger girl who is now kind of trying to discover her own power and her own self. And it's like a femgaze Silicon Valley. That is all I can possibly say that it is. But it is fascinating and wonderful, and everybody is wonderful, and I love it.
So I will watch Startup next with my grandma. Hopefully she'll enjoy it.
There's
My
a grandma
grandmother
in
is.
it who deserves all the love in the world.
Okay, yeah. See, this is my litmus test for if a drama is good, is if my grandma can watch it and love it. She loved Dating in the Kitchen. I have to recommend that again, even
Mm-hmm.
though the ending really sucked.
It's still
even
on my
even
list. Do I need to finish it?
even the actress came out and said, I don't understand why the main girl did that either. It was so good because the main actress, of course, is
It's from Rose and
uh
Tiger.
yeah, the romance
Yeah,
of Tiger and Rose,
Tiger
which
and
is
Rose. Yeah,
yeah,
which is also
she's
really
only
good.
22 years old, and she is such a powerhouse
Dramas.
in
Yeah.
Chinese dramas, and but that whole the chemistry between her and the older lead is really good. And also watch the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dating in the Kitchen is based on a novel. Oh God, I'm so out of it right now. I can't even
Yeah.
talk. Well, again, we'll wreck all
Yeah.
this stuff. If you're here, thank you.
Yeah, this was a little bit of an after show because we just
This is a little after
we're
show.
like we don't get to
I've
talk
been
about
drinking
other stuff.
soju. Can you tell? I've got like this much left. So
Yeah. But thanks for hanging out with us. I am Marie Claire Gould again, and you can follow me on Twitter at Marie C. Gould. What the Force is expanding to more stuff, so there'll be more stuff under the banner of What the Force, but What the Fiction specifically covers femgaze, mythic, and meta fiction. And so thanks for hanging out with us, and we love you all. Be careful, be safe, and we hope you have a good 2 weeks.
yeah, good 2 weeks. We'll see you on the other side. Excited for the end of the show. And we will have an after party, and I will wear my fox ears again. I probably will dress up as my Jansha nine-tailed fox for the last one. I've got a wig for it. So
That's awesome. I do not have a wig for that. I have purple hair.
I didn't get to do Halloween this year, so I'm
Yeah,
going to do it then.
that sounds awesome. All right, everyone, take care. Love you all. Bye.
Love you.